Chapter 208. Cheng Imo scanned the crowd coldly. There was only one word in his mind: stupid. They had no idea how crazy and dark this man's heart was. In the past few years, his disguise had been flawless. However, there would come a day when the disguise would be removed. This man possessed abilities that ordinary people couldn't imagine. However, the darkness and madness in his heart allowed him to bring a destructive disaster to this world. Cheng Imo looked at the man beside him. His originally calm eyes were now filled with awe. "Come in." Pei Yuqing spoke softly. The door of the meeting room was pushed open and 3 young men strode in. The man in the lead wore a warm smile on his face. He was wearing a custom-made suit with a white tulip in his chest pocket. He looked noble and elegant. Behind him was a woman in a black suit. She looked cold and aloof, like a block of ice, and no one dared to approach her. The last person looked young, like a teenager. His face was clean, but he had a head of slightly curly white hair. He had a lollipop in his mouth, looking innocent and naive. Cheng Mo's eyes were no longer calm when he saw the 3 of them. Although he was Pei Yuqing's most trusted and closest confidant, he wasn't the most powerful person around him. He could stay by Pei Yuqing's side because he was the most gentle and good-tempered. However, these 3 people, the 3 of them stood by Pei Yuqing's side. The young man with the white tulip in his pocket strode over to Pei Yuqing and bowed respectfully. The smile on his face didn't disappear. Seeing 3 strangers suddenly walk in, the troublemaking directors were instantly displeased. Director Qian looked stern. "Who are they? Where do they think this is? They can come and go as they please." Old Feng snapped impatiently, "President Pei, don't keep us in suspense. Hurry up and tell us what solution you have that will satisfy everyone." "Ha." The young man with the white tulip in his pocket chuckled softly and replied unhurriedly, "What is the solution that will satisfy everyone? Don't you know the answer to such a simple question?" The young man paused for a moment, then continued with a smile, "As long as the people who are dissatisfied with you disappear, then the plan will naturally be satisfactory to everyone." The man had been smiling the whole time, but that smile made people shudder. They didn't know what was going on. They were just 3 young people, but the moment they came in, the entire conference room seemed to fall into a great pressure. Especially this man's words, it inexplicably made one's hair stand on end. Director Qian slammed the table when he heard the threat. "Pei Yuqing. What do you mean? How dare you threaten me?" Before Director Qian could finish speaking, a white tulip pierced through the air and pierced through the back of his plump hand, nailing him to the table. "Ah!" In an instant, Director Qian let out a roar like a pig being slaughtered. Almost everyone was stunned as they stared at Director Qian's bleeding hand. How dare he hurt an important director of the company in public? And what's with this man? No one could see how he did it. How could someone use a flower to pierce through the back of someone's hand? Chapter 209. Pei Yuqing seemed displeased when he heard Director Qian's wails. His cold eyes darted to the young man who had hurt him. "Did I allow you to hit him?" Pei Yuqing's cold, aloof eyes turned icy at once. The young man coughed softly and swallowed his saliva before he said meekly, "My hand slipped." The young man gloated at Pei Yuqing's scolding. "You deserve it. Don't you know that boss hates violence?" The young man muttered softly, "Yes, yes, yes. Boss hates violence. Boss is the most gentle one. I'm just not used to it." The curly-haired young man tossed the lollipop in his mouth and straightened his clothes. He took a stack of documents from the woman's hands and walked over to the directors. Then, he distributed them politely. As he distributed the documents, he said, "I was disrespectful earlier. Please forgive me. These documents are the plans that we have carefully prepared for all of you. I believe that you will be satisfied." Then, each of the troublemaking directors was given a document. At first, they had been waiting arrogantly to see what Pei Yuqing had prepared that would satisfy them. In the end, when they saw the contents of the proposal, their expressions all changed. Director Qian ignored the pain in his palm and hurriedly covered the documents with both hands. The others reacted similarly, and cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Any one of the things in these documents would be enough to ruin their reputations and cause them to die without a burial ground. However, these documents had been kept a secret. How had Pei Yucheng? How had he found out? Besides, the three people who had appeared out of nowhere didn't look like ordinary people. As though this was the first time they had met Pei Yucheng, their faces were filled with bewilderment and fear. Director Qian's face was as red as a pig's liver. He leaped to his feet angrily and yelled, "Pei Yucheng! You! What do you mean by this? How dare you play dirty with us? You immature, yellow-haired boy! Who do you think you are? How dare you mess with me? I'll call Chairman Pei right now and show him what you've done. Do you think that you can shut me up with these things? Do you think? Pei Yucheng didn't allow anyone to stop Director Qian from yelling. He leaned back in his chair and lowered his eyes to light a cigarette. A second later, the man raised his head slowly through the thin layer of smoke. His eyes, which were as dark as the night, pierced through the lenses and the smoke and landed on Director Qian's face. In an instant, Director Qian was like a duck whose throat had been slit. All he wanted to say was to whimper in fear. The man on the main seat still had a cultured and refined appearance, but just one look from him was enough to freeze one's soul. The huge conference room was as silent as a graveyard. Even Xing Yimou and the other three held their breaths, not daring to look into the man's eyes. Even they wouldn't be able to withstand this level of suppression, let alone ordinary people. Director Qian was sweating profusely. His plump body was shaking uncontrollably, and yellow urine was dripping from his chair. Just when everyone was about to be frightened by this terrible atmosphere and their hearts almost stopped beating, a sudden ringtone of a cell phone rang. Pei Yucheng's phone was ringing. Pei Yucheng exhaled a puff of smoke. He didn't look at his phone as he answered the call. Then, a girl's voice was heard. "Mr. Pei." As soon as the girl's voice rang, the oppressive aura in the conference room vanished without a trace. It was as though everything had been an illusion. Pei Yucheng picked up his phone, his face expressionless. However, the atmosphere had changed abruptly. Pei Yucheng asked, "What's the matter?" "Air. A little. Can we meet tomorrow night?" asked the girl. Pei Yucheng replied, "Okay." Chapter 210. Just when everyone was about to be frightened by this terrible atmosphere and their hearts almost stopped beating, a sudden ringtone of a cell phone rang. Pei Yucheng's phone was ringing. Pei Yucheng exhaled a puff of smoke. He didn't look at his phone as he answered the call. Then, a girl's voice was heard. "Mr. Pei." As soon as the girl's voice rang out, the oppressive feeling in the meeting room vanished without a trace. It was as though everything had been an illusion. Pei Yucheng picked up his phone, looking expressionless. However, the atmosphere had changed abruptly. Pei Yucheng asked, "What's the matter?" "Air. A little. Can we meet tomorrow night?" asked the girl. Pei Yucheng replied, "Okay." Pei Yucheng hung up and swept his eyes across everyone. From today onward, Ren Hongji will take over as the finance director of JM Corporation. He will be in charge of the Asia division of JM Corporation. Does anyone have any objections? Under normal circumstances, the senior executives would have started cursing and swearing at such a serious announcement. However, the entire meeting room was silent now. No one dared to object. Since everyone is in agreement, the meeting is adjourned. Pei Yucheng stood up and left. He left the rest of the meeting to Xing Yimou. The young woman's eyes were glued to Pei Yucheng as she trailed behind him respectfully. The young man and the boy followed behind her. The sound of footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. The woman trailed behind Pei Yucheng, looking as though she wanted to say something. In the end, she couldn't help but ask, "Brother Yu, actually, it's easy to make these people listen to you. These people bully the weak and are afraid of the strong. They won't give up until they see the coffin." If we were to be ruthless, I don't think they would dare to disobey us. Why did you make it so troublesome? You even made us spend so much time investigating this matter. Pei Yucheng paused slightly when he heard the woman's question. He turned around slightly and glanced at the woman coldly. The woman felt a chill down her spine when she met the man's cold gaze. She lowered her head and said, "I crossed the line." Pei Yucheng turned around and continued walking. After a few seconds, the man's nonchalant voice echoed in the empty corridor. She doesn't like it. The woman thought that she was hallucinating. After a long time, she realized that Pei Yucheng had answered her question. She did not like it. In an instant, the woman's face was as pale as paper. She stood there in a daze, staring at the man's cold back. At this moment, the young man beside her looked at the woman and said faintly, "Sai, Ji Lan, why do you have to ask? Don't you know who boss has been cultivating for the past 2 years?" The young man inserted the white tulip back into his chest pocket, but the white petals were stained with blood. Suddenly, a message popped up on the man's phone. List of Lin Yan's rumored boyfriends. The man looked at the gossip with a faint smile and said, "But, don't worry. If this continues, I don't think the boss will be able to pretend for much longer. You know what? I heard from little Momo that boss flew into a rage tonight. All the cups and tables were broken. I don't know what triggered him." Chapter 211. Guess which of big sister-in-law's rumored boyfriends offended boss? Could it be Wei Shufeng, Shen Xiaomu, or Tang Jiaya? The young man sucked on a lollipop as he glanced sideways at him. Big sister-in-law's rumored boyfriends are all over the entertainment industry. How would I know who it is? Fortunately, boss didn't care about her for the past 2 years. Otherwise, the world would have been destroyed. If boss had continued to ignore her like he did 2 years ago and completely left her side, it would have been fine. But now that they're together again, these things will definitely not be able to be hidden anymore. How could she possibly endure it? It's already a miracle that she only broke a cup and a desk until now. The man stroked his chin, looking puzzled. Didn't boss decide to set her free? Why did he suddenly change his mind? The young man shrugged. Who knows? Maybe he still can't forget her? I thought that it was unrealistic for boss to let her go. The woman in black interjected coldly, looking disgusted. That woman must have done something. Otherwise, why would brother you be with her? The young man blinked and hesitated. Sister Lan, you can't say that. That woman doesn't remember anything. She doesn't even know who boss is. Given her current status, she wouldn't have a chance to get close to boss. What could she have done? The young man chuckled softly. Boss must have dug a hole for her. She doesn't remember anything now. Given boss's intelligence, it would be easy for him to lie to her. The young man rolled his eyes at him. What are you talking about? Given boss's looks, why would he need to lie to her? The woman glanced at them darkly. Are the two of you still speaking up for that woman? Xing Lan, have you forgotten how your hand was crippled? And you, Qin Huan. Who was the one who was bedridden for 3 months? The young man twisted his left wrist, which produced a series of metallic cracking sounds. His face was filled with lingering fear as he sighed and said, Sai, you can't blame boss for this. It's my fault for not being careful. I knew that boss couldn't control himself and was especially paranoid, yet I still dared to approach that woman within 3 steps and speak more than 10 words to her. Wasn't I just courting death? The young man muttered under his breath, I'm the one who suffered. She suddenly fainted. I couldn't just let her fall to the ground without supporting her, right? If he helped her up, he would get beaten up. If he didn't help her up, he would still get beaten up. It's so hard for me. The man seemed to have thought of something as he removed the white tulip from his pocket and twirled it between his fingers. Oh, actually, I admire Lin Yan's ex-boyfriend the most. What's his name again? Oh yeah. Han Yishuan, that man with the surname Han was really lucky. Right after Big Brother released Sister-in-Law, she started dating Han Yishuan. Although Big Brother didn't know about it for 2 years, he should know about it now. After being cuckolded, that man was still alive and well. Boss's temper has been really good these past 2 years. He's really like a jade and a peerless young master. Sometimes I even wonder if he's back to normal. The young man sucked on the lollipop as he stared at Pei Yucheng's back. He shuddered involuntarily. To be honest, I think that boss has been even scarier these past 2 years. Chapter 212. All the test subjects below level B would be destroyed. Tonight's news had been a huge blow to Lin Yan. Flash dance. She had always harbored hope that her brother was still alive somewhere in this world. Regardless of whether he was alive or not, as long as he was alive, she would definitely find him. However, this news had shattered all her hopes. Lin Yan stood on the balcony in a daze as the cold wind blew against her face. While he was lost in thought, his phone suddenly rang. The caller ID showed that it was an unfamiliar number. Lin Yan answered the call. Hello? Who is it? Big sister-in-law, it's me. The gentle voice on the other end of the line startled Lin Yan. She snapped back to her senses after some time. Mr. Pei? Sorry to disturb you so late at night. Did I disturb your rest? Pei Nanxiu sounded exhausted. No. I haven't slept yet. What's the matter? Asked Lin Yan hastily. Pei Nanxiu replied, there is something that I need your help with. Lin Yan asked, help? What could she do to help Pei Nanxiu? Yes. Pei Nanxiu fell silent for a moment. He hesitated before he said, can you call my big brother now? Huh? Lin Yan was puzzled. Call Mr. Pei? Pei Nanxiu replied, yeah. Flash dance. Lin Yan asked, but why do I have to call him all of a sudden? What should I say? Pei Nanxiu replied, as long as you call him now, you can say anything you want. You can also arrange a meeting with him tomorrow night. Lin Yan was confused by Pei Nanxiu's request. Why did he want her to call Pei Yucheng all of a sudden? She was planning to break up with him, so it would be better for her to contact him as little as possible. On the other end of the line, Pei Nanxiu pleaded sincerely, please, can you do it? How could she reject her idol's request? Lin Yan replied, okay, I'll call him later. Thank you. Pei Nanxiu heaved a sigh of relief. Even though she had no idea why Pei Nanxiu would make such a request, he sounded so earnest and anxious. It had to be something urgent. Hence, Lin Yan followed Pei Nanxiu's instructions and called Pei Yucheng immediately. Hello, Mr. Pei. The call was quickly connected, and the man's hoarse voice came from the other end. What's the matter? Lin Yan didn't know if she was hallucinating, but that familiar voice sent a chill down her spine. Lin Yan didn't think too much about it. Instead, she asked, can we meet tomorrow night? Pei Yucheng replied, all right. Pei Yucheng's tone was as gentle and polite as ever, as though she had been hallucinating. After that, Lin Yan hung up. Then, she texted Pei Nanxiu. Mr. Pei, I've called and arranged to meet Mr. Pei tomorrow night. Great, thank you very much. You're welcome. After sending the message, Lin Yan leaned against the railing and sighed helplessly. Sigh, it's easy to make a phone call, but what about the one-on-one meeting tomorrow night? What will she say then? She couldn't say anything to Pei Nanxiu. After all, Pei Nanxiu believed that they were a couple, so it was normal for lovers to call each other to meet at night. Chapter 213. The next day, at the filming location, Lin Yan wasn't feeling too well. She had even stopped playing her game. After putting on her makeup, she sat on the chair in a daze. Duo stood beside her and peeped at her. Finally, she coughed softly and said, don't be too bothered by the haters online. In the entertainment industry, it's better to have people talking about you than to be ignored. Besides, your acting skills are pretty good. It's just that your previous roles were terrible. Listen to Sister Ling and focus on acting. You will get better, Lin Yan raised her eyes slightly and glanced at Duo in surprise. She looked overwhelmed. Baby Duo, are you consoling me? Duo's face stiffened. Who is consoling you? I'm just worried that you might affect Sister Ling's reputation. I heard that Han Yishuan is joining the filming crew today. If you are affected, you won't be able to continue filming today. Lin Yan grinned at the girl, who was lying to her. He won't be able to work with me. Don't worry. Today's scenes will be simple. Wei Shufeng had applied for leave, so some of her scenes had been moved to the front. Perhaps it was because he had suffered a huge blow, but he had been posting sad and sorrowful posts on Weibo every day. Every time he posted a post, she would be scolded. Lin Yan perked up and finished her scenes for the day. After changing her clothes and removing her makeup, she took her canvas bag with the words "Suddenly Rich" printed on it and left the set. Sister Yan, are you going home later? I'm meeting a friend. I'll take the subway. You can go first. Sister Yan, when your performance improves, I'll ask Sister Ling to get you a car. Otherwise, it will be inconvenient for you to take the subway every day. However, I don't know how long it will take for your performance to improve. Lin Yan and Duo were chatting as they walked out. Suddenly, they bumped into someone at the corner of the corridor. She had bumped into Pei Nanshu previously, but this time, she had bumped into Han Yishuan. Duo's eyes widened when she saw Han Yishuan and his assistant. She instinctively tugged at Lin Yan's clothes. The four of them seemed to be taken aback when they bumped into each other. Han Yishuan raised his head and frowned when he saw Lin Yan. No one spoke for a moment. Lin Yan's eyes lingered on Han Yishuan's face for a split second. She didn't even linger for half a second before she brushed past him and strode ahead. Duo heaved a sigh of relief and hurried after Lin Yan. They had barely taken a few steps when a man's voice rang behind them. Lin Yan, he said. Duo's scalp went numb when she heard Han Yishuan. What was going on? Why was he the one who initiated the conversation every time? Why did he have to take the initiative to talk to Lin Yan every time? The development of the plot did not match up with the rumors at all. Duo swallowed her saliva and glanced cautiously at Lin Yan. The latter completely ignored Han Yishuan and continued walking forward as if he hadn't heard anything. Han Yishuan blocked Lin Yan's path with a cold expression. Lin Yan. Lin Yan glanced at her phone in annoyance. Sorry, Mr. Han. I have an appointment tonight. Han Yishuan was relentless. I'll only say a few words. Han Yishuan's perfume made Lin Yan feel even worse. Do I have to listen to you? Chapter 214. Han Yishuan, who wasn't used to Lin Yan's attitude, looked even grimmer. Lin Yan, if Shiya hadn't pleaded for you, do you think you would still be filming here? I'm warning you one last time. Shiya isn't like you. She's innocent and kind. She doesn't know anything, so I won't allow anyone to hurt her. If I find out that you've done anything to hurt Shiya, I will make sure that you never appear before her again. That's all I have to say. You're on your own now. After Han Yishuan finished his threatening speech, he turned around and strode away. Duo stood quietly, not daring to breathe. She clutched her chest as Han Yishuan walked away. You scared me. Duo glanced at Lin Yan helplessly. Sister Yan, it's fine if you want to be famous. Why would you dare to provoke Han Yishuan? Don't you know that the Han family is powerful in the capital city? What Han Yishuan said just now wasn't just to scare you. Just one word from him and you'll disappear from this circle. Lin Yan blinked. Oh. Duo was displeased with her perfunctory attitude. Oh. Don't you have anything else to say? What do I have to say? Lin Yan glanced at her and replied expressionlessly, Did you say that my ex-boyfriend was impressive? So what? My current boyfriend is even more impressive. Duo was exasperated and speechless. Would it kill you to stop bragging? You even bragged twice in one sentence. Han Yishuan is your ex-boyfriend? Do you have an even more impressive boyfriend? Why don't you go to heaven? Lin Yan pursed her lips. Why didn't anyone believe her nowadays? Because of Han Yishuan's delay, she was almost late. Hence, she gritted her teeth and hailed a cab to get to the meeting place. By the time she arrived, she was a few minutes late. Pei Yuqing had already arrived. Pei Yuqing had booked the meeting place. There was a secluded garden behind the restaurant that was secluded from the outside world. White roses, stained with night dew, had climbed all over the flower racks. The night was blurry, and stars shone through the night sky. Pei Yuqing sat on a rattan chair under the flower racks with a white porcelain teacup in his hand. Lin Yan, who had disrupted her breakup plans, had initially been reluctant to meet him. However, as she stared at him, who was dressed in a retro suit and sitting on a pergola, she felt as though he had walked out of a medieval European oil painting. All she could think about was how peaceful and seductive the night was. Lin Yan snapped back to her senses after some time. Sorry, Mr. Pei. I'm late. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Pei Yuqing turned around when he heard her. Don't worry. I just arrived. After that, he gracefully poured her a cup of flower tea. Lin Yan hurriedly reached for the teacup. Thank you. Lin Yan sat there, not knowing what to say. All she could do was drink water to hide her awkwardness. Pei Yuqing seemed to be in a good mood. His beautiful face looked even more alluring tonight. Miss Lin, why did you ask to meet me? Lin Yan wore a bitter expression on her face. She had no idea why she had asked him out. Pei Nanshu had asked her to make a call, and she had asked him to make an appointment. Lin Yan deliberated over her words. Nothing. Nothing. What could possibly happen to me? I'm really sorry for asking you out. Did I disturb your work? Actually, it's nothing. I just wanted to ask you out for a meal and a chat. Pei Yuqing sipped his tea and grinned at the girl. Did you miss me? Chapter 2:15. Pfft. Lin Yan was caught off guard and spat out a mouthful of water. Then, she felt a gentle caress on her back. Are you okay? I'm fine. Lin Yan blushed and instinctively shrank back. Fortunately, Pei Yuqing retreated quickly. Lin Yan finally caught her breath. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't disturb you, Pei Yuqing replied. I'm not busy. Lin Yan was puzzled. Huh. But I saw on the financial news that JM Corporation is undergoing a major renovation. I thought you would be busy. Pei Yuqing's intuition was rather sharp. When he detected Lin Yan's tone, he paused for a moment. Miss Lin, you seem disappointed? Lin Yan, who was startled, waved her hands frantically. Of course not. Of course I'm happy that you're not busy. Then, she continued to gulp down water. When she felt guilty, she couldn't help but keep drinking. It was too difficult to lie to Pei Yuqing, as his eyes seemed to be able to see through one's heart. Fortunately, Pei Yuqing didn't continue the topic. He picked up the menu and asked, What do you want to eat? I'm fine with anything. You can order, Lin Yan replied absent-mindedly. Okay. Pei Yuqing finished ordering quickly. Lin Yan lowered her head and continued to drink her water. This is the first time Miss Lin has asked me out, Pei Yuqing said. Actually, she hadn't asked him out. Today was also the day he was forced to close. As they chatted, Lin Yan's phone rang. There was a new WeChat message. Lin Yan glanced at it and saw that it was from Duo. She was worried that Duo was looking for her regarding work, so she clicked on the message. Duo had sent a news link and a picture. Lin Yan didn't think much of it. She clicked on the picture and saw her and Han Yishuan's faces. Not long ago, someone had secretly taken a picture of her and Han Yishuan in the corridor and posted it online. The worst part was that there had been 2 assistants present at the time. However, the person who had posted the picture had deliberately edited them out, leaving only Lin Yan and Han Yishuan in the picture. Therefore, the scene of the two of them standing face to face was ambiguous no matter how one looked at it. In the eyes of an outsider, it could be interpreted in 10,000 ways. What was worse was that Lin Yan had clicked on it right in front of him. Pei Yucheng's eyes darted to the photo and the date on it. The photo had been taken shortly before Lin Yan's date with him. Before going on a date with her boyfriend, she secretly met up with her ex-boyfriend. Even Lin Yan felt that she couldn't explain herself. Lin Yan switched off the screen hastily and explained, "I bumped into Han Yishuan in the corridor after work. Both our assistants were there, but the person who posted the photo took it." Pei Yucheng seemed to be deep in thought as he remained silent. Amidst the silence, Lin Yan felt as though a terrifying danger was approaching. However, very quickly, that aura seemed to be restrained, as if it was just an illusion. After some time, Pei Yucheng lit a cigarette and broke the silence. "Why do you like Han Yishuan?" Chapter 216. Pei Yucheng's expression resembled that of a wife questioning her husband about his mistress. Lin Yan felt inexplicably guilty. She had explained that she had dated Han Yishuan before she had met Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan felt a familiar sense of fear that was etched into her bones. What was going on? The man in front of her was so gentle and gentle. No matter how she looked at it, he was a perfect boyfriend. Why did she always feel so repulsed by him? Actually, this was one of the reasons why she had wanted to break up with him. Today's news had reminded her that she had merely bumped into Han Yishuan by accident. Someone would take a photo and post it online. It would be too dangerous for her to continue dating Pei Yucheng. If this were to be exposed, it would be no laughing matter. It had been such a long time, and her body had always been normal. There had been no other abnormalities, so there should be no problem. Lin Yan's thoughts were running wild as she tried to break up with Pei Yucheng. She didn't notice that the white porcelain teacup that Pei Yucheng had placed on the table had cracks all over it. As Lin Yan studied the man before her, she suddenly felt that she had been too selfish. She had pushed the blame onto her so-called second personality and lied to Pei Yucheng time and time again. Pei Yucheng was such a gentle and reasonable man. She should have just explained everything to him. Why was she so afraid of being overcautious? This time, Lin Yan didn't try to brush him off. She recalled her memories and said, "Liking someone is something that doesn't make sense. Actually, there is no special reason for liking someone. I don't remember many things that happened in the past. I only remember that Han Yishuan told me that he liked my carefree look. Because of this, I got together with him." Pei Yucheng's eyes darkened when he heard Lin Yan. It seems like it's easy for Miss Lin to forget someone and fall in love with someone. Lin Yan inhaled deeply and glanced at Pei Yucheng. "Mr. Pei, there is something that I want to be honest with you. In fact, I've explained it to you before, but you didn't seem to believe me. There really is another consciousness in my body that doesn't belong to me. At least, this consciousness isn't my original intention." Lin Yan collected her thoughts and added, "The first time, I was lying on your bed. That wasn't me. The second time, I appeared in your ward. That wasn't me either. When I barged into your house and accidentally fell on you, it wasn't me either. At that time, my body was completely controlled by another consciousness, so I had no idea what was happening. I knew you wouldn't believe such an explanation, so I had no choice but to lie like that." This time, Pei Yucheng didn't tease her or tease her. He wasn't surprised either. Instead, he was so calm that Lin Yan felt uneasy. "What lie?" asked Pei Yucheng. Lin Yan observed Pei Yucheng's expression and realized that he had been rather calm the entire time. As expected, it was just her imagination before, right? If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have hesitated for so long before asking. She even spent so much time in hell every day. Chapter 217. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief and added, "I lied when I said that I loved you so much that I followed you time and time again. Actually, it wasn't like that. I didn't know you from the beginning. It was the first time I saw you on your bed." Pei Yucheng's expression was as calm as the calm sea as he gazed at the girl before him. Why did you agree to be with me? Lin Yen pulled a long face. To save my life. I disrespected you time and time again. No matter how good-tempered you were, you wouldn't have let me off. Besides, I was afraid that the consciousness would control my body and continue to disrespect you. If I had the identity of your girlfriend, it wouldn't have been a problem. That's why I made the best of it. I'm really sorry. It was my fault. Pei Yuqing tapped his fingers rhythmically on the table. I was infatuated with you and couldn't stop thinking about you day and night. Lin Yen felt a little ashamed when she heard what he had said in the past. I was afraid that you would be angry, so I made it up, Pei Yuqing replied, low blood sugar. Lin Yen swallowed her saliva. I looked for you because I wanted to help second young Master Pei. Pei Yuqing asked, what about tonight? Lin Yen replied, tonight. Actually, Mr. Pei called me all of a sudden yesterday. He asked me to call you. He wants to meet you tonight. I don't know why. Pei Yuqing was speechless, only the sound of the night breeze could be heard. The night sky was as dark as ink. After a very, very long time, Lin Yen finally heard Pei Yuqing say, so? Lin Yen scratched her head and blurted out, so? Why don't we break up? That's not right. Actually, we don't have to break up. It was a misunderstanding from the beginning. It was really a misunderstanding. Besides, Mr. Pei, you accepted me because you were curious, right? You said that you didn't want to get married. Pei Yuqing's fingers stopped tapping on the table, and the room fell silent. Miss Lin, you seem to have misunderstood me. Lin Yen asked, misunderstood? Pei Yuqing replied gently and politely, I said that we can choose not to get married, but I didn't say that we can break up. Lin Yen was speechless, huh? Lin Yen fell silent when she heard that. At the same time, she could sense that something wasn't right with Pei Yuqing. The cigarette between Pei Yuqing's fingers had reached its end. He stubbed it out and stroked the girl's cheek with his fingers. Then, he sighed and said, Miss Lin. I regret it. Even though he had addressed her as Miss Lin, it was as though a bolt of lightning had exploded in Lin Yan's head, causing her immense pain. Instinctively, Lin Yan slapped his hand away with a look of disgust on her face. When she snapped back to her senses, she finally realized what she had done. F***CK. What was wrong with her? Mr. Pei, I'm sorry. Pei Yuqing studied the back of his hand, which had turned red from the slap, and muttered hoarsely, I'm sorry. I really can't accept it, what? Lin Yen frowned. Before Lin Yen could snap back to her senses, the man's gaze was like a cage engulfing her. I can't accept this. You're not mine, Miss Lin, I refuse to break up with you. Chapter 218. Miss Lin, from tomorrow onwards, I hope that you can stop filming and retire from the entertainment industry. Of course, if you like your current job, you can sign with Summit Entertainment. I will arrange a new manager for you and arrange a new place for you to stay. Your schedule and work arrangements, whether it's the things you do or the people you meet, will be directly managed by me. Lin Yen frowned as she listened. She couldn't understand what Pei Yuqing meant. Mr. Pei, why? Why would she want to quit the entertainment industry? Why would she want to go to Summit Entertainment? Pei Yuqing drummed his fingers on the table as his gold-rimmed glasses glinted coldly. Because it's good for both of us. Lin Yen finally understood what Pei Yuqing meant. Did he want to treat her like a canary in a cage? Lin Yan's expression hardened as she said, Mr. Pei, I think you've misunderstood something. We have broken up. Besides, even if we hadn't, you have no right to decide my life. So, your answer. Pei Yuqing studied the girl expressionlessly. I refuse, Lin Yen replied without hesitation. Pei Yuqing fell silent for a moment. Then, he pushed the frame of his glasses up gently. Miss Lin, you will agree. I will wait for you at Cloud Manor tomorrow morning. Pei Yuqing. Before Lin Yen could explain herself, he had already turned around and left the garden. Lin Yan's expression darkened. Why did Pei Yuqing look like a different person all of a sudden? Or, was this the original him? She should have expected this. When there was light, there would be darkness. How could there be such a perfect person in this world? Pei Yuqing was too perfect. He was so perfect that it seemed unreal. All this time, she had only seen the bright side of Pei Yuqing. Actually, Pei Yutong had reminded her time and time again, but she had never taken it to heart. Until today, Lin Yan had made up her mind. As long as she didn't agree to his demands, she would be fine. However, she had a bad feeling about this. In a private room of a nightclub in the capital city, Qin Huan was leaning on the stairs, playing with the white tulip in his hand. Xing Chen was lying on the sofa with a lollipop in his mouth. Ji Lan was dressed in black and stood at the door with her arms crossed. She did not look too good. Pei Nanxiu and Pei Yutong were there as well. Pei Nanxiu looked around. Where's Assistant Cheng? I went to change Brother Yu's desk. Qin Huan glanced at Pei Nanxiu and smiled. I was wondering why boss suddenly stopped his outburst last night. It turns out that second young master found someone to put out the fire. Pei Nanxiu fell silent for a moment. So Miss Lin is the person from 2 years ago? Why doesn't she seem to know Big Brother at all? Qin Huan shrugged and replied, she forgot everything related to Big Brother, including the three of us. We weren't overseas back then, so there were many things that we didn't know. What happened between Miss Lin and my brother? Pei Nanxiu asked. Qin Huan deliberated over his words before he said, how should I put this? Lin Yan and Brother Yu aren't just lovers. Lin Yan is Brother Yu's stabilizer. Chapter 219. A stabilizer? Pei Nanxiu looked surprised. When Big Brother's body reached its limit and he almost exploded, you said that you found a stabilizer. You didn't develop a special drug, but, Qin Huan nodded. That's right. Lin Yan is Brother Yu's stabilizer. How is that possible? Pei Nanxiu muttered to himself in a daze. Is there something special about Miss Lin? Qin Huan shrugged. I don't know. We checked Lin Yan's body, and she looks just like a normal person. However, whenever she is by Brother Yu's side, he will stabilize. I don't think it has anything to do with her physique. Anyway, there is no other stabilizer that is stronger than her. Pei Yutong stood by the side and listened intently. He couldn't help but ask, what happened after that? Big Brother didn't mention Sister Yen at all after he came back. He didn't even allow us to talk about her. Qin Huan sighed heavily. Things were complicated back then. At first, Brother Yu ordered us not to mention Lin Yan in front of anyone. However, it seems like we don't need to anymore. Who would have thought that Brother Yu would get back together with her? He even introduced her to all of you, so it's not a big deal to tell you. Xing Chen, who was lying on the couch, munched on his lollipop as he quipped, if it was really a drug, it wouldn't have been a problem. However, Lin Yan is a human after all. You know how extreme Brother Yu is, but Lin Yan is even more extreme than him. She is like gunpowder that will explode at the slightest provocation. She hates being restrained, but Brother Yu can't leave her side. I'm sure you can guess the outcome of their relationship, Qin Huan chimed in. All of you think that Brother Yu is scary, but that woman is even scarier. She wants freedom even more than her life. She would rather die than turn back. In the end, she forced Brother Yu to compromise. Not only did Brother Yu let her go, but he has also become a different person. He has cultivated and cultivated himself. He hasn't even lost his temper once. He is really amazing. Pei Yutong was flabbergasted. No wonder. I was wondering why Big Brother's temper had become so good these past 2 years. Why would he suddenly fall in love with an unknown artist? I didn't know that Big Brother and Sister Yen had known each other for a long time. Pei Nanxiu took a long time to snap out of his daze. So Big Brother intends to start afresh with Miss Lin? Qin Huan shrugged. How can we guess Brother Yu's thoughts? I think so. Pei Yutang pressed his palms together and said sincerely, fortunately, Sister Yen has forgotten everything. Big brother is so gentle now. It's entirely possible for us to start afresh. May my eldest brother and sister-in-law live happily ever after, grow old together, and have children soon. Xing Chen muttered, don't be too optimistic. I keep feeling like boss's current state is very dangerous. It'd be fine if he really didn't see her for the past 2 years, but once he sees her and finds out about what happened to her in the past 2 years, and finds out about her ex-boyfriends and scandals, how could he hold back? His rage level had probably reached a critical point long ago. It's just that it's well hidden. Qin Huan rolled his eyes at the young man. Can you shut your mouth? As they spoke, Qin Huan, Xing Chen, and Ji Lan's expressions changed abruptly. They sprang to their feet in unison, looking wary as though they were facing a formidable enemy. Chapter 220. What was going on? Even Pei Yutang and Pei Nanxiu, who sensed that something was amiss, instinctively turned to look at the door. Soon after, they saw a figure with an imposing aura slowly walking in from the darkness. The man was wearing a retro-aesthetic suit, but at this moment, his tidy tie had been loosely pulled off his neck, and 3 buttons on his shirt had been undone. His originally black and tidy hair was a little messy. Big boss, brother you, big brother, everyone, including Pei Nanxiu and Pei Yutang, realized that something was wrong with Pei Yucheng's behavior. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. For a moment, no one dared to move, much less approach. In the end, Pei Nanxiu stepped forward and approached Pei Yucheng cautiously. Pei Nanxiu knew that Pei Yucheng didn't drink, so he walked to the bar counter and poured him a glass of lemon water. He tried his best to speak in a relaxed tone. Big brother, why are you here? Pei Yucheng didn't speak. Instead, he scanned Pei Nanxiu's face with his dark eyes. Then, he casually took the glass of lemon water from Pei Nanxiu. However, the moment Pei Yucheng took the glass, it exploded in his hand and the shards fell to the ground. It was as though he had lost control of his strength. Pei Nanxiu was shocked, and his fingers were scratched by the shards. At the same time, the moment the cup exploded, the pressure in the entire double-decker private room suddenly reached a terrifying level. Everyone instantly shrank into a corner in unison. Qin Huan's nonchalant expression changed abruptly. He looked as though he was facing a formidable enemy. Oh no. Boss doesn't look right. F***ck. Xiaoxing, I told you not to jinx it. Xing Chen, who was flustered, threw away the lollipop in his mouth and whispered, what happened to brother you? Wasn't he in a good mood earlier? The numbers have been stable. Why? Why does it seem like he has reached a critical point? Xing Chen had just spoken when the silver watch on Pei Yucheng's wrist began to emit a frantic alarm. Beep. 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 The beep was like a death warrant. What's that sound? Whose alarm went off? Pei Yutang stammered, startled by Big Brother's sudden appearance. Qin Huan glanced at him speechlessly. What alarm clock? Third young master, that's a life detector. Brother Yu's vital signs are soaring. He's about to break through the limit. It's been 2 years. You've been fine. You even survived that dangerous period. How did this happen? Pei Nanxiu ignored the wound on his hand and looked anxious. Xing Chen picked up a pillow and hugged it tightly. He scowled miserably. I told you that brother Yu is scarier when he's quiet. You guys didn't believe me and even said that I had a crow's mouth. His body wasn't really stabilized, but he was forcibly suppressing it. After suppressing it for more than 2 years, he finally couldn't suppress it anymore. Qin Huan was anxious. That's not right. Hadn't brother Yu gotten back together with Lin Yan? The frequency of their meeting wasn't low either. Lin Yan was more useful than any elixir. With her as a stabilizer, how could it not be suppressed? Xing Chen, is there a problem with the stabilizer? Chapter 221. Pei Yucheng, who seemed to have been disturbed by their whispers, glanced at them. They fell silent instantly, not even daring to breathe loudly. Get Ching Imo to come and see me. Pei Yucheng then headed to the second floor. The alarm on the watch hadn't stopped, and it was getting more and more urgent. Qin Huan hurriedly contacted Ching Imo Ji Lan, on the other hand, looked anxious as she glared at them. Why are you guys still standing there? Call the doctor. Qin Huan shrugged helplessly. You've been by Brother Yu's side for so many years. Is this the first time you've encountered such a situation? There are so many top experts, doctors, and professors. We've invested so much money in them over the years, but they haven't come up with any effective solutions. Even God wouldn't be able to help, let alone a doctor. Ji Lan gritted her teeth and said, then bring that woman here. Qin Huan shrank back in fear. Who would dare to do that without Brother Yu's order? Xing Chen took out another lollipop nervously and said, I think so too. It's best not to call her here now. My instincts tell me that there's a problem with the stabilizer. Pei Nanxiu seemed to have thought of something as he muttered, last night, I asked Lin Yan to call Big Brother and asked him to meet her tonight. I'm guessing that Big Brother went to meet Lin Yan tonight. Xing Chen blurted out immediately, Brother, you went to meet Lin Yan tonight? I bet a lollipop that there's a problem with the stabilizer. We can't just do nothing. Regardless of whether there's a solution or not, we have to get all the experts here first. I'll inform Father. Pei Nanxiu replied. Ji Lan's face darkened. All right. I've already made the call and contacted the experts in China. At Maple River Residence, after Lin Yan returned to her apartment, she hadn't been in a good state of mind. She had a splitting headache, and it felt as though her head was being pierced by needles. She lay on the bed and slept until the next night. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Wang Jingyang stood at the door and was about to speak when he saw her. Why do you look so pale? Did you get surrounded by haters again? Lin Yan was speechless. 100 million haters couldn't compare to Pei Yucheng's destructive power. Come in. Why are you looking for me? Lin Yan rubbed her forehead. Can't I look for you for no reason? You've been going out early and coming back late these days. I haven't seen you many times since I moved here. Wang Jingyang's tone was a little sad. Lin Yan rolled her eyes at him. I need to earn money. I don't have time to fool around with you. Wang Jingyang muttered, since you're working so hard by yourself, why don't you find a boyfriend? Lin Yan was speechless. He, she had found it. Not only did he look for her, but he also broke up with her after looking for her. Although, it seemed that the breakup did not succeed. Lin Yan. Wang Jingyang gazed at Lin Yan hesitantly. What are you talking about? You're single, yet you have the cheek to criticize others. Lin Yan glanced at Wang Jingyang. Was the pot calling the kettle black? She had just broken up with Pei Yucheng last night, so she was in no mood to talk nonsense with Wang Jingyang. She had a lot of things to settle. I have something to attend to. Let's talk later. Lin Yan turned around and left the apartment. You're single, and so am I, isn't 1 + 1 = 2? Wang Jingyang muttered under his breath as Lin Yan left. Chapter 222. The elimination competition for her grandfather's team would be starting soon. Lin Yan had to make use of this time to figure out the rules. She wouldn't make the mistake of letting love and men control her mood and life a second time. As for what Pei Yucheng had said yesterday, she wouldn't agree to it. Lin Yan hailed a cab and headed to her mother's place. Lin Yan knocked on the door. A few seconds later, she heard a voice from inside. With a creak, the door was opened. He Muyan was standing in front of it. Xiaoyan, why are you here? He Muyan glanced at Lin Yan in surprise. She hadn't expected Lin Yan to come. Mom, what's wrong? Lin Yan frowned when she sensed that something was amiss. Nothing. I'm fine. He Muyan smiled and shook her head. However, she looked as though she was trying to hide something. Mom, what happened? Lin Yan knew her mother very well. Something must be bothering her. Is it because of Uncle Xiezheng? Lin Yan glanced at He Muyan and asked. He Muyan frowned when she heard Lin Yan. Xiaoyan, don't spout nonsense. Seeing that Lin Yan was determined to get to the bottom of this, He Muyan couldn't stand her relentless questioning. She knew that Lin Yan would find out sooner or later, so she answered honestly, it's because this house is about to be demolished. Huh? Demolition? Lin Yan looked excited. Mom, that's great. When will it be demolished? Do you want me to come and help? He Muyan was speechless. Xiaoyan, there's a problem with the ownership of this house. So after the demolition, we won't get a single cent, explained He Muyan. Huh? Lin Yan was taken aback. It's not just about the demolition. Also, your Uncle Xia's company seems to have some problems. When your Uncle Xia came over today, I saw him standing downstairs and he didn't look too well, so I asked him a few questions. What happened to Uncle Xia's company? Asked Lin Yan hastily. He originally said that he would take some money from a friend, but for some reason, that friend suddenly changed his mind. He Muyan sighed. Your grandfather's team is also being ostracized and suppressed for no reason. I'm afraid they won't be able to participate in the elimination competition in a few days. They might be disbanded at any time. What? Lin Yan's expression changed when she heard her mother. The more she listened, the more she felt that something was amiss. When did this happen? Asked Lin Yan. I just found out this morning. He Muyan answered. Lin Yan was speechless. How did so many things happen in one night? And they were all related to the people around him. Yan, your grandfather can't eat or drink because of this. The elimination competition in a few days is the last thing he wants. If the team is disbanded before the elimination competition, I'm afraid, it will be a huge blow to your grandfather. He Muyan looked worried. Actually, He Muyan didn't care about the demolition of the house or the ownership dispute. She was worried about Lin Yan's grandfather. Mom, I got it. How is Uncle Xia doing? Lin Yan glanced at He Muyan solemnly. Things aren't looking good. If we can't fill the gap, the company might go bankrupt, replied He Muyan. Announcing the new book's VIP reader group, 7718373335, I have you for the rest of my life, sweet and warm, screenshot of 6,000 plus fans on QQ, screenshot of all the subscription, screenshot of at least 20 recommendation votes within 30 days if you can't meet the requirements for fan points, recommendation votes, and so on. You can wait until the requirements are met before you enter, it's late today. If the management hasn't replied, they must be resting. We will continue tomorrow. Chapter 223. Everything had happened this morning. Based on what Pei Yuqing had said last night, it was impossible for Lin Yan not to know what was going on. No wonder Pei Yuqing had been so confident that she would agree to it. She had thought that Pei Yuqing had said those things out of anger because he had broken up with her. She had never imagined that he would go to such lengths. Not only had he interfered in her affairs, but he had also attacked the people around her to make her submit. A strong sense of disgust and repulsion rose in Lin Yan's heart. Fear had been etched into her soul since a long time ago. Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan. Are you all right? I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to worry. He Muyan looked worried. Lin Yan snapped back to her senses and smiled at her mother. Mom, I'm fine. Oh yeah, I have some work to do, so I have to go. All right. Go do what you need to do. Don't worry about the family. Okay, Mom. Lin Yan's face turned cold the moment she stepped out of the house. Her temper had been ignited instantly. Pei Yuqing. She had never imagined that Pei Yuqing would be such a person. He had been such a good and flawless person. Not only did she feel fear and disgust, but she also felt disappointment. She felt as though she had been looking up to the bright moon, but her true self was a muddy swamp. What had happened earlier? Had he been putting on an act all along? Lin Yen called Pei Yuqing as soon as she reached the ground floor. The other end of the line picked up the moment she pressed the button. Before she could speak, a man's deep voice was heard. "Se bar." His voice wasn't as gentle and clear as usual. It was as though he had fallen into an abyss of ice. The man gave an address and hung up the phone. Lin Yen stared at her phone. Pei Yuqing's attitude made her even angrier. This is totally a threat to her. Lin Yen inhaled deeply and suppressed her anger. She hailed a cab and headed to the address Pei Yuqing had given her. The nightclub was located in a remote alley. The door was rusted, and the sign read "Seabed." Those who didn't know better would think that it was an abandoned warehouse. However, when she pushed the door open, she saw a whole new world inside. It was probably because it wasn't time to open yet, so there weren't many people in the bar. Lin Yen spotted a familiar young man in a suit waiting for her. She had seen this man at Pei Yuqing's villa. He seemed to be Pei Yuqing's assistant. Ching Imo greeted Lin Yen politely. "Miss Lin, this way please." Lin Yan's expression was cold and infuriated as she followed him. Damn it. After the incident with Hanishuan, she had sworn to focus on making money and not to get involved in those affairs anymore. She did not expect that in such a short time, she would be played by a beauty to this extent again. This time, she was even angrier than Hanishuan. He could touch her, but he could never touch the people around her. That was her bottom line. He still wanted to force her to compromise, force her to give in. She never knew how to spell the word soft in her life. In her dictionary, she would rather die in glory than live in disgrace. Recently, I have forgotten to draw a set of peripherals. The latest winners are E19, Nangu, and Chi-Chi is a spirit. Please join the group to claim your prize. Today's updated chapter will draw 10 participants. Each of them will receive a cash packet of 10 yuan. You just have to subscribe to it. Chapter 224. Ching Imo led Lin Yen to a private, double-decker room. Lin Yen stood at the door and scanned the room. The private room was gloomy and cold, and the decorations were luxurious and retro. However, at this moment, the coffee table in the private room was broken, and the vase was also broken. The murals were hanging crookedly, and there were all kinds of collapsed cabinets and decorations beside them. The entire room was in a mess, and she had no idea what had happened. A curly-haired teenager was sitting on the couch with a lollipop in his mouth. A girl in a ponytail was pacing back and forth anxiously. There was a young man leaning against the staircase on the opposite side of the first floor. The man was well-dressed and had long black hair tied behind his head with an unknown metal hairband. There was a white tulip in the breast pocket of his dark red suit. However, the petals of the tulip had been plucked off, and there were only a few wilted petals left. The moment Lin Yen stepped into the room, the three of them straightened up and turned to look at her simultaneously. The girl in black was glaring at her coldly, as though she had a deep grudge against her. Lin Yen didn't have the time to care about them. She turned to Ching Imo, who was leading the way. "Where's Pei Yuqing?" Before Ching Imo could speak, someone suddenly appeared from the side and rushed towards her excitedly. "Sister-in-law. Big sister-in-law, you're finally here." Pei Yutong. Lin Yan's expression softened when she saw Pei Yutong. "Third young master." "Big sister-in-law." Before Pei Yutong could finish, Lin Yen frowned and interrupted him. "Third young master, call me by my name." "Heir." "Why?" Pei Yutong had a bad feeling about this. Pei Nanshu walked over, looking exhausted. When he saw Lin Yen, he asked anxiously, "Miss Lin, did you meet my brother last night?" "If I may be so bold as to ask, last night, did something happen?" "I broke up with your brother," Lin Yen replied expressionlessly. Pei Nanshu's face fell when he heard Lin Yen. Pei Yutong, who was dumbfounded, looked as though the sky had collapsed. What? What did you say? You broke up with my brother. Pei Yutong wasn't the only one. Everyone else's expression changed as well. Qin Huan silently held his forehead. Damn, no wonder. Xing Chen chewed on his lollipop and shrugged. I told you there was a problem with the stabilizer. All of you owe me a lollipop. Ji Lan, who was dressed in black, looked gloomy as she strode over to Lin Yan. The moment the girl approached her, Lin Yan felt an immense pressure and danger. Lin Yan. How dare you? Who do you think you are? Lin Yan's face darkened when she heard the girl's words. She lowered her eyes and chuckled softly. You don't dare? I'd like to ask. I'm just breaking up, why wouldn't I dare? It's none of your business who I break up with or what it is. You. Ji Lan's icy aura engulfed the entire area as her right hand reached for Lin Yan's neck like a sharp claw. Chapter 225. She was so fast. This girl was too fast. She didn't look like a human at all. Lin Yan dodged in a flustered manner, but she still staggered a few steps. Ji Lan gazed at Lin Yan condescendingly, as though she was looking at an insignificant ant. Her eyes were filled with contempt. Qin Huan, who couldn't stand it any longer, stepped forward to smooth things over. Ji Lan, are you crazy? What are you doing? Ji Lan glared at Qin Huan, forcing him to retreat. What am I doing? How dare this woman reject brother you? What right does she have? Who does she think she is? Pei Yuqing was a demon in many people's eyes, but he was also a god in many people's eyes. To them, Lin Yan's actions were akin to a filthy beggar who had dragged her god into a quagmire. She had even stomped on him in disdain. This was intolerable. Ji Lan, calm down. Don't forget that brother you. Qin Huan pinched his temples. The girl interrupted Qin Huan and glared at Lin Yan with a murderous look. So what? Since I only need her body, why does it matter whether she's willing or not? I have 1,000 ways to make her realize reality. The fire in Lin Yan's eyes gradually turned into ice as she listened to the girl. F***CK. Were these people bandits? If she wasn't willing, they were forcing her to be willing? Also, what did she mean by saying that he only needed her body? Sure enough, like boss, like subordinates. Ji Lan glared at Lin Yan. I'm giving you one last chance. Return to brother Yu's side and listen to his orders. Lin Yan chuckled softly and enunciated each word carefully. What if I refuse? Refuse. Ji Lan stared at Lin Yan for a long time before the corners of her mouth curled up. You don't have the right to refuse. Before she could finish her sentence, she suddenly approached Lin Yan like a ghost. This time, Lin Yan didn't retreat or dodge. She simply allowed the girl to attack her. As Ji Lan approached, Lin Yan's hand moved slowly. Ji Lan's speed was so fast that it was inhuman. Lin Yan's eyes couldn't keep up with Ji Lan's movements at all. By the time Lin Yan saw Ji Lan was already standing beside her. A strong gust of wind brushed past Lin Yan's face. Ji Lan raised her hand and struck Lin Yan with a seemingly casual palm. Instinctively, Lin Yan raised her hand to block it. Bang! Lin Yan raised her hands in front of her as she stumbled backward. Lin Yan's eyes were filled with astonishment. What kind of monster was this woman? This was the first time in her life that she had met an opponent who could make her suffer. Lin Yan could also tell that Ji Lan hadn't used her full strength. I say, Ji Lan, are you alright? What if you kill her? Qin Huan looked at Ji Lan with displeasure in his eyes. I know what I'm doing. I'm just teaching her a lesson so that she knows her place, Ji Lan said indifferently. You can't injure him either, Qin Huan continued. If boss returned and saw that Lin Yan was injured, he would be in trouble. Shut up. This has nothing to do with you, Ji-lan said coldly. Qin Huan was speechless. Ji-lan stared at Lin Yen as the smile on her face widened. Are you really not going to listen to me? Chapter 226. You can try, Lin Yen replied coldly. Ha. Everyone around you has been implicated because of you. Even so, you don't care? Ji-lan sneered at her. You. Lin Yen was enraged. It seems like you haven't figured out your place yet. Ji-lan vanished instantly. She was so fast that Lin Yen could only see a shadow with her naked eye. Ji-lan's current speed was even faster than before. Before Lin Yen could snap out of her daze, Ji-lan grabbed her neck. Ji-lan's grip on Lin Yan's neck was so strong that Lin Yen couldn't breathe. Don't force me. Lin Yen felt dizzy and her consciousness was fading. Force you? Ji-lan glared at Lin Yen as the corners of her mouth curled up into a merciless smile. Are you worthy? Lin Yen hated this feeling. It was unfamiliar and distant. It had been a long time since she had lost control. Why did she have to provoke her? At that moment, the iciness in Lin Yan's eyes seemed to have been lifted. It started to crack and shatter. In the dim bar, no one noticed the change in Lin Yan's expression. Lin Yan's eyes were devoid of emotion as she grabbed Ji-lan's arm with her right hand. A second later, there was a loud thud. Ji-lan's arm was flung away and she stumbled backward. Astonishment surfaced in Ji-lan's eyes. At this moment, her arm was in intense pain and gradually becoming numb. Qin Huan, what are you doing? Suddenly, Ji-lan glanced at Qin Huan. Qin Huan was dumbfounded. What did I do? Didn't you attack me with a hidden weapon just now? Ji-lan's voice contained a trace of anger. Qin Huan replied, Are you crazy? I didn't even move. It wasn't you? Ji-lan frowned slightly. Then, her gaze landed on Xing Chen. The lights in the bar were dim, so Ji-lan hadn't noticed that Lin Yen had sent her flying. She had assumed that Qin Huan or Xing Chen had attacked her with a hidden weapon. Xing Chen was munching on his lollipop as he met Ji-lan's eyes. Don't look at me. I didn't do anything. Before Ji-lan could respond, Qin Huan pointed at Lin Yen. Lin Yen, who was out of control, was exuding a terrifying aura as she strode toward Ji-lan. Her aura made Qin Huan feel uneasy. Why do I feel like this woman has suddenly become so scary? Am I hallucinating? Qin Huan mumbled as he played with the dice in his hand. Is the pain in your body not intense enough? Ji-lan's eyes glinted coldly when she noticed Lin Yan's expression. Ji-lan clenched her fists and punched Lin Yan, who was striding toward her. This punch was extremely powerful. Following the trajectory of the fist, one could even hear the whistling of the fist wind. Are you crazy? Qin Huan shouted when he saw this. Lin Yan moved even faster. Before Ji-lan could react, she had grabbed her by the throat. Lin Yan's back was facing the light, so no one could see what she had done. Even Ji-lan had no idea what had happened. Lin Yan stared at Ji-lan coldly. If she wanted to, she could crush this woman's neck in an instant. Chapter 227. At that moment, Xing Chen, who had been munching on his lollipop, suddenly moved. Bang! With a loud bang, Ji-lan's body was sent flying by Xing Chen's kick. Xing Chen, who had curly white hair, had both hands in his pockets as he glanced coldly at Ji-lan. Do you want to continue? Little Xing is angry. Qin Huan, who was standing nearby, slammed the sieve on the table. Xing Chen, what are you doing? Ji-lan glared at Xing Chen as she bellowed. I'm trying to save you, replied Xing Chen coldly. The bystanders didn't see it, but Xing Chen saw it clearly. If he hadn't kicked Ji-lan away, Ji-lan's neck would have been crushed by this woman. Ji-lan didn't even realize it. How laughable. Even Pei Yutong realized that Lin Yan, who had always looked soft, sweet, and timid, had changed completely. Save me? Do you really think that boss likes her? She is just a stabilizer. Ji Lan sneered coldly. Ji Lan didn't understand what Xing Chen meant. She merely thought that boss wouldn't let her off if she hurt that woman. Idiot. Xing Chen shrugged. Whatever you want. Continue. With that, Xing Chen sat back down in the distance. Soon, Ji Lan stood up and charged at Lin Yan. Lin Yan glanced at Ji Lan, trying her best not to lose control. If she did, Lin Yan had always known that she was stronger than ordinary people, but she had rarely used it. She hadn't been willing to use it, especially when she lost control of her emotions. She could be more terrifying and extreme than she had imagined. The murderous aura on Ji Lan's face intensified as she muttered, "Now that she has lost her effect as a stabilizer, there is no point in keeping her. She will only make boss lose control. She has no right to stay by boss's side. She isn't worthy." Ji Lan didn't notice that as she spoke, a person slowly walked down the stairs from the darkness behind her. "Brother Yu." Qin Huan, who was standing opposite her, saw Pei Yucheng right away. Ji Lan's face was filled with fear when she heard Qin Huan. Instinctively, she turned around. The moment she turned around, Pei Yucheng suddenly moved. He placed his palm gently on Ji Lan's left shoulder. In the next second, everyone saw Ji Lan's body fly out like a kite and slam into a glass wine cabinet. The glass wine cabinet collapsed with a loud crash. The cabinet and the wine inside all shattered into pieces. The scene was a mess. Even the handrail of the stairs was knocked down by the huge impact. After the loud shattering sound, the entire private room fell into a dead silence. Everyone kept quiet out of fear as they looked at the man on the stairs. The private room, which was already in a mess, was now even more messy. It was almost like a ruin. Pei Yutong pulled a long face. He was going to start tearing down the house again. What should I do? Originally, she thought that when eldest sister-in-law came over, she could coax big brother. She didn't expect eldest sister-in-law to be so hot-tempered. Now that the two of them were facing each other, wouldn't it be like Mars colliding with Earth? Ji Lan landed awkwardly on the ground. She ignored the pain and scrambled to her feet. She knelt respectfully before Pei Yucheng. "Brother Yu." Chapter 228. Pei Yucheng didn't even glance at Ji Lan. His eyes had been fixed on Lin Yan ever since he had stepped out of the room. Lin Yan clenched her fists when she saw Pei Yucheng. The man was wearing a white shirt, and his hair was slightly messy. His gold-rimmed glasses glinted coldly. He didn't look as gentle as he usually did. His eyes were like bottomless black holes, as though he had become a different person. No, perhaps this was the real Pei Yucheng. The moment Pei Yucheng appeared, no one in the room dared to speak. Everyone retreated, not daring to breathe loudly. Pei Yucheng strode down the stairs and adjusted his sleeves nonchalantly. Then, he raised his head and gazed at the furious girl. "Have you made up your mind?" Lin Yan frowned when she heard Pei Yucheng. Then, she slammed her hands on the table next to Pei Yucheng. Pei Yutong was more nervous than anyone else when he saw Lin Yan's temper. What was going on? Wasn't she supposed to be a tranquilizer? Big Brother's table was about to be smashed to pieces. As far as Pei Yutong could remember, no one had ever dared to speak to Big Brother like that. Something was going to happen. Something big was going to happen. Pei Yucheng sat on the couch, his aura cold and sinister. Even Qin Huan and Xing Chen instinctively sensed danger. Cold sweat appeared on their foreheads, and they looked at each other in dismay. Lin Yan glared at Pei Yucheng. "Cut the crap. I have something to ask you." "Go ahead," the man replied. Lin Yan narrowed her eyes. "My mother's house, Uncle Xie's company, and my grandfather. Did you do all of these?" Pei Yucheng didn't deny it. Instead, he nodded and replied, yes. Lin Yen clenched her fists and sneered coldly. So this is what you meant when you said that I would agree? You will agree. The man sounded very certain. His eyes met Lin Yan's dangerous-looking eyes. Lin Yan inhaled deeply and suppressed her anger. She tried to communicate with Pei Yucheng. What do I have to do for you to let my family go? You know what to do. Pei Yucheng gazed at her expressionlessly. If Lin Yan hadn't been so agitated, she might have realized that something was wrong with the man. Lin Yan sneered coldly when she heard that. She recalled what the girl in black had said earlier. She had said that she would listen to his every command. What should I do? Obediently be your canary, or a slave? Will they obey your orders? Lin Yan glared at the man before her, her tone icy. I'm really sorry. Mr. Pei, you probably don't know me well enough. I'm just a stinky rock that won't budge. I hate being threatened. At most, I will perish together. The moment the girl finished speaking, Pei Yucheng's eyes, which had been as still and mechanical as still water, started to ripple. At the same time, the silver watch on the man's wrist began to beep, F***CK. We're done for. Qin Huan's expression changed when he heard the alarm. The others were also panicking. Pei Yutong was frantic. What should we do? What should we do? Think of something. Chapter 229. Pei Nanxiu looked anxious. There's no progress in Country M's research. Besides, if Big Brother doesn't cooperate, the experts won't be able to help. Pei Nanxiu paused before he added, actually, Big Brother has gone overboard. If it had been another woman, she might have compromised. However, judging from Lin Yan's character, she would rather die than live in dishonor. I'm afraid that threatening her will only make things worse. Qin Huan had a look of lingering fear on his face. You're absolutely right. Why do you think no one dared to restrict Lin Yan, even though she was so important? They didn't dare. That girl is too stubborn. Even Brother Yu is stubborn. Even though she has lost her memory, she hasn't changed at all. She's still as hot-tempered as ever. The worst thing is that boss is out of control. He has no idea what he's doing. He's only relying on his instincts to stop Lin Yan. I don't think there's a way out this time. We're doomed. We're doomed. Ji Lan glared at Lin Yan coldly as she listened to the alarm. Her face darkened. I told you that she is a ticking time bomb. Brother Yu will be killed by her sooner or later. Qin Huan coughed softly. You can't say that. If it hadn't been for her, boss would have died many times. However, now, it's better for her to stay away from boss. Pei Yutong clutched his head anxiously. F***CK. Didn't you say that Sister Yen is Big Brother's stabilizer? Why has she become a bomb now? If Sister Yan's stabilizer doesn't work, what will happen to Big Brother? Qin Huan scratched his head. I think the most important thing now is to separate the two of them. Don't let her continue to agitate boss. Indiscriminate destruction. Pei Yucheng muttered under his breath as he shut his eyes. It was as though he was recalling something that had pained him to the core. His mouth was filled with the taste of blood. The moment Lin Yan finished speaking, Pei Yucheng's watch beeped loudly at an alarming rate. Lin Yan finally realized that his watch had been ringing for some reason. However, Lin Yan didn't pay much attention to him. She was already infuriated, and she felt as though she had lost control of her body. Her rage had gotten the better of her. Pei Yucheng, forgive me for being blunt. Even if you have billions of assets and a high status, so what? You're selfish, cold-blooded, heartless, and don't know how to respect others. You won't love anyone. I, Lin Yan, will never fall in love with you, even if I had to fall in love with a cat or dog. In my dictionary, there's no such thing as yielding. Beep beep beep, beep beep beep, beep beep beep. As the alarm grew louder and louder, Pei Yucheng suddenly clutched his chest. All the blood drained from his face. Brother you. Boss, Qin Huan, Pei Yutong, and the others' expressions changed instantly. Pei Yucheng sprang to his feet and grabbed Lin Yan's arm with a trembling hand. Lin Yan's eyes glinted coldly. However, before she could do anything, Pei Yucheng's body began to sway and he looked as though he was about to collapse. You. Lin Yan stared at Pei Yucheng curiously. A second later, Pei Yucheng suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His body seemed to have reached its limit. Chapter 230. Qin Huan, who was the closest to Pei Yucheng, tried to help him up. However, he had just taken a step forward when Pei Yucheng sent him flying. F***ck, Qin Huan fell on a pile of debris and whimpered as he held his waist. I almost forgot. You can't get close to boss now. Second young master, third young master, don't go over. You will be crippled if you do. Even the three of them couldn't handle boss when he lost control, let alone Pei Yutong and Pei Nanshu. Lin Yan hadn't expected that the man would suddenly vomit blood. Her face, which had been filled with rage, froze. She looked flustered and flustered. Lin Yan stood there in a daze as she stared at the man in front of her. The burning blood in her body cooled down bit by bit. Pei Yucheng had finally reached his limit and his body fell to the ground slowly. Lin Yan's pupils constricted as she instinctively reached out to support Pei Yucheng. However, Pei Yucheng avoided her touch. Lin Yan's face stiffened. A second later, she grabbed him forcefully. You still have a temper? I'm the one who's about to die from anger. Ahem. Pei Yucheng clutched his chest. Lin Yan paced around anxiously when she saw that Pei Yucheng was about to vomit blood again. In her panic, she compromised without hesitation. Ah. All right. All right. It's my fault. It's all my fault. Calm down. Calm down, F***ck. Are you kidding me? It was just a quarrel between a couple. Why did you vomit blood because of me? Lin Yan muttered softly. Was she that fierce? Oh, she had indeed been fierce earlier, however, he was the one who had bullied her first, forget it. Forget it. He had vomited blood, Lin Yan didn't care who was right or wrong. All she knew was that when she saw Pei Yucheng vomiting blood, she lost all her temper. Pei Yucheng seemed to be resisting Lin Yan's touch. However, when Lin Yan helped him for the third time, he finally stopped moving. Hence, Lin Yan carefully helped Pei Yucheng to the couch and stroked his back. Are you feeling better? Beep. Beep, beep. Beep. The alarm on Pei Yucheng's watch was still ringing frantically, but it seemed to have slowed down. What the hell is this watch? It keeps ringing. Lin Yan glanced at the watch impatiently before turning to Pei Yucheng. At this moment, the man's clothes were in a mess, his hair was covered in cold sweat, and his handsome face was pale and weak. The eyes under the gold-rimmed glasses were tightly closed as he lay on the sofa on the verge of death. Lin Yan felt guilty all of a sudden. What the hell? She was clearly the one who was being bullied. Why did it seem like he was being ravaged by her? No matter what, Lin Yan didn't dare utter another harsh word. All she could think about was how she had angered him. In any case, he had to calm them down first. Lin Yan softened her voice and patted his back gently. Don't be angry, okay? I know I was wrong. Really, although she did not know where she had gone wrong. Chapter 231. I shouldn't have been so fierce to you. But you can't blame me. It's your fault for attacking the people around me. I was anxious. Lin Yan rambled on. Pei Yucheng's body was too weak, so she could only support him and let him lean on her. Lin Yan felt as though a knife was stabbing into her heart when she saw the pained expression on the man's face. She gritted her teeth and said, at most. We won't break up. We can get back together. But you can't threaten me anymore. Okay? However, Lin Yan was amused when she said this. Pei Yuqing didn't care about the breakup. He just cared that his authority couldn't be challenged. Pei Yuqing fell silent. After some time, he said, okay. Lin Yan was startled when she heard that. He had agreed. Why had he agreed so easily? Lin Yan snapped back to her senses after some time. Her eyes lit up. Are you sure? You promised me. You can't do that to my mother and Uncle Xia. I don't like it. Pei Yuqing opened his eyes slowly and stared unblinkingly at the girl before him. Okay. Lin Yan replied, and my grandfather. Pei Yuqing replied, okay. Lin Yan was speechless. What was wrong with him? She had caused such a huge commotion. She had thought that he was ruthless. In the end, he had agreed to everything just because she had said something nice to him? Lin Yan stared blankly at the man in front of her. She was dumbfounded. So, why was she so angry that she ran over with the attitude of, I'll die or I'll die, causing such a ruckus? Lin Yan probed, then. You can't interfere with my work. You can't change my company or manager. You can't control my schedule. I don't like it. Okay? However, Pei Yuqing didn't agree this time. No. Lin Yan was speechless. He had agreed to everything. Why couldn't he agree to this? Furthermore, he was so determined. It couldn't be because she had interacted with many male actors in other productions, right? Why would Pei Yuqing care about her that much? How could that be possible? This time, Lin Yan didn't fly into a rage. Lin Yan's eyes darted around as she looked sad and aggrieved. She pressed her palms together and pleaded, then. Mr. Pei, can I go to the company you arranged for me later? I still have some unfinished business here. I promise you, when I'm done, I'll definitely come over, okay? Pei Yuqing fell silent for a few seconds. Okay. Lin Yan was speechless. As expected, he agreed again. Lin Yan was dumbfounded. She hadn't expected Pei Yuqing to be so easy to coax. Beep beep beep, the sound of the silver watch on the man's wrist was getting weaker and weaker. At the same time, Qin Huan and the others, who were anxiously calling for specialists and doctors. Pei Yutang stared at Lin Yan, who was speaking softly and coquettishly. Didn't you say that there's no such thing as giving in? Qin Huan glared at his boss, who was listening to everything Lin Yan said. My boss isn't that easy to talk to. Xing Chen dropped the lollipop in his mouth in shock. Brother Yu's condition has stabilized. This is the lowest it has been in 2 years. It's indeed a powerful stabilizer. Chapter 232. Lin Yan's eyes lit up when Pei Yuqing agreed. She grabbed his hand, afraid that he would go back on his word. It's a deal then. Almost as soon as the girl's small hand touched the back of the man's hand, the silver watch on the man's wrist that had been intermittently making beeping sounds stopped completely. Lin Yan stared at the watch on Pei Yuqing's wrist suspiciously and muttered, this Vacheron Constantine watch is so high-end. Why does it have an alarm function? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Everyone was speechless. Pei Yutang muttered excitedly, he's indeed my father. Even his thoughts are the same. Father and son are connected. When Pei Yuqing's watch stopped beeping, Qing Imo, who had been silent all this while, strode over. Qing Imo turned to Lin Yan and said, Miss Lin, you've misunderstood something. I think I have to explain it to you. What you said just now about your mother, uncle, and grandfather was not Boss Pei's doing. Lin Yan was startled when she heard this. What? But he had admitted it himself. Qing Imo nodded and replied confidently, all orders from President Pei go through me. I have never received any orders from him. Last night, President Pei had indeed called him over. However, he hadn't given any orders. He stood at the side and watched Boss Pei smoke for the entire night. Hence, it couldn't have been President Pei's doing. He had wanted to explain earlier, but he hadn't been able to get a word in edgewise. President Pei had even admitted it, so he couldn't say a word. Now that both of them had calmed down, Ching Imo finally found a chance to explain himself. After explaining, Ching Imo glanced at Ji Lan, who was still kneeling in the corner. The girl's face was covered in cold sweat, but she looked furious. She gritted her teeth and said, "I did it." "Brother, you didn't know about it." Lin Yen frowned when she heard this. No wonder this girl had threatened her. She had made a decision on her own. She had been so furious that she had instinctively assumed that Pei Yuqing had given the order. Qin Huan and the others stared at Ji Lan in shock. "Ji Lan. Are you crazy? How dare you do such a thing?" Qin Huan exclaimed in disbelief. He hadn't expected Ji Lan to be so bold. He had really thought that Brother Yu had done it. He didn't suspect Brother Yu at all, as his style was similar to Brother Yu's. Who would have thought that Ji Lan would make the decision on her own this time? Ji Lan straightened her back, but her expression showed that she didn't think she was wrong. Xing Chen shook his head and showed a pitiful expression. Lin Yen glanced at the girl coldly before turning to Pei Yuqing. Her expression was complicated. "If you didn't do it, why did you admit it?" Pei Yuqing remained silent. Pei Yuqing remained expressionless. He didn't push all the blame to Ji Lan either. Instead, he replied calmly, "There's no difference. This is what I wanted to do." He didn't deny it because this was the darkest thought in the depths of his heart. Moreover, she also believed so. Lin Yen was speechless as she listened to him. She couldn't tell how she felt. How could there be no difference? Even if Pei Yuqing had such thoughts, he hadn't done so in the end. No one knew better than her how difficult it was to control yourself when you lost control. Chapter 233. Actually, the only thing Pei Yuqing had insisted on was that she join Summit Entertainment. Lin Yen couldn't help but recall what Pei Yuqing had said to her in the car when Pei Nanxiu had gone to pick her up. At the time, she had asked Pei Yuqing if he would mind if she had a bad reputation and was criticized by the internet for being a bad actress. "I do mind. Do you need me to deal with them?" This had been Pei Yuqing's reply. He had minded the people who had bullied and insulted her. Pei Yuqing hadn't denied it. Had he thought about doing that, or had he thought that she wouldn't believe him? That was why he hadn't explained himself. Although the truth was a dark, dirty swamp, there was a glimmer of light in its depths. Pei Yuqing coughed violently again. Lin Yen glanced at Pei Yuqing's subordinates and bellowed, "Hey! He's vomiting blood. Why are you guys still standing there? Call the doctor." Everyone was dumbfounded by the roar. "Didn't you want to kill boss just now? I heard that you were seriously ill and in a coma. Is that true?" Lin Yen muttered to herself. Pei Yutong immediately chimed in, "Big sister-in-law, you don't have to worry about that. As long as you stay by my brother's side and don't quarrel with him, he will definitely be healthy." "What the hell?" Lin Yen rolled her eyes at Pei Yutong. "Am I a Lingji elixir?" Qin Huan, Xing Chen, Qing Mo, and the others glared at Lin Yen, as though they were saying, "Aren't you a Lingji elixir?" "I'm asking you something serious." Lin Yen snapped angrily. "I'm answering you seriously." Pei Yutong muttered softly. As long as Big Brother didn't lose control, there wouldn't be a problem. Lin Yen felt that these people were too unreliable. She let go of Pei Yuqing's hand and searched for her phone. She wanted to call a cab to take Pei Yuqing to the hospital. However, the moment she let go of Pei Yuqing's hand, the silver watch on his wrist began to beep again. Everyone was speechless. Pei Yutong stared at the watch and said anxiously, "Look. I told you that you can't break up with me." "Ha." Lin Yen instinctively grabbed Pei Yuqing's hand again. The watch's beeping slowed down, but it didn't stop. At that moment, Lin Yen realized that everyone, including Pei Yutong, looked extremely nervous when they heard Pei Yuqing's watch beep. The watch had started beeping violently when Pei Yuqing had vomited blood earlier. Could it be some sort of medical device that you might use to monitor your body was related to Yu's condition? Instinctively, Lin Yan suspected that Pei Yuqing and this watch had something to do with her. But she couldn't figure it out. How could it have anything to do with her? Isn't this a watch? Is this a body scanner? Lin Yan probed. Lin Yan listened anxiously to her watch, which was still ringing. So this is really a body detector? Every time it rings, it means that you're not feeling well. Didn't it stop ringing just now? Why did it start ringing again? How can I stop it? Pei Yuqing studied the girl's anxious face quietly. A second later, he bent over slowly and planted a gentle kiss on the corner of her lips. With this feathery kiss, he said, "Is this okay?" A second later, the device went silent again. Lin Yan was speechless. Chapter 234. The few people at the side silently looked at the two people who were clearly arguing with each other a moment ago, and now they were showing off their affection. Pei Yutong was elated. That's great. My prayers were answered. Wasn't this just a bedtime quarrel? Lin Yan's eyes widened as her eyelashes fluttered. She only snapped back to her senses when Pei Yuqing stood up. She stared at Pei Yuqing in a daze for a long time before she glanced at his watch. Everything was quiet, it had stopped ringing. What kind of magical watch was this? Could it be that she really was some kind of miraculous medicine? At that moment, Cheng Imo received a call. He walked over and reported to Pei Yuqing. President Pei, Professor Wilson and his team have arrived. They are at Cloud Manor now. Should we ask them to give you a diagnosis? Before Pei Yuqing could reply, Lin Yan asked, "Is the doctor here? Hurry up and let him take a look at Mr. Pei." Cheng Imo glanced at Pei Yuqing hesitantly. Pei Yuqing had always hated doctors. Unless he had lost consciousness, he wouldn't have allowed them to approach him. Pei Yuqing said, "Get the car ready." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they heard him. All right, they had reconciled. The world was finally at peace. They wouldn't have to live in fear and bloodshed anymore. Long live peace. Long live the dog food. Ji Lan was the only one who remained kneeling on the ground, her expression dark and gloomy. At Cloud Manor, Pei Yuqing had all sorts of equipment connected to his body, and he was doing a detailed physical examination. Lin Yan couldn't be disturbed during the examination, so she waited in the garden outside the house. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was her mother. Lin Yan hastily answered her mother's call. "Hello, Mom. What's wrong? What's the matter?" He Muyan's cheerful voice could be heard from the other end of the phone. "It's fine. I'm just calling to tell you that you don't have to worry about the matters at home. I just received news that everything has been resolved." Lin Yan was taken aback. Everything has been resolved? That was fast. Yeah, it's strange. The developer suddenly announced that there has been a change of plans. Your Uncle Xia also called to say that everything has been resolved. He Muyan replied. What about grandfather? Asked Lin Yan. He Muyan replied, I'm at your grandfather's place now. I'm not too sure about the exact situation, but Lefeng said that the competition can proceed as usual. That's good. Lin Yan heaved a sigh of relief and told her mother, I have something to do. I'll look for you at grandfather's place later. Okay. Yan, don't rush. Drive safe, okay? Okay, Mom, I know. Lin Yan ended the call with her mother and hung up. The moment she hung up, she turned around and saw Pei Nanxiu standing a few steps away from her. Mr. Pei. Lin Yan muttered to herself. Miss Lin, thank you so much for today. If it hadn't been for you, my big brother would have been in danger. Pei Nanxiu was filled with gratitude. Lin Yan coughed softly, looking a little embarrassed. She hadn't been able to control her fiery temper today. She had actually exploded in front of her idol. His image was completely destroyed. I was at fault too. I was too impulsive. If I had calmed down and talked to Mr. Pei, perhaps this wouldn't have happened. Lin Yen replied. Pei Nanxiu studied the girl and asked hesitantly, Miss Lin, may I ask you a question? Chapter 235. Pei Nanxiu glanced at the girl and asked hesitantly, Miss Lin, may I ask you a question? Lin Yen asked, what is it? Why did you break up with my brother? Did my brother do something wrong to make you unhappy? Pei Nanxiu was puzzled. The two of them had been in a good relationship. He couldn't understand why they had suddenly broken up last night. How could that be possible? Before this, Pei Yuqing had always been a godly boyfriend in her eyes. She had almost been tempted to betray him. Lin Yen scratched her head, looking conflicted. She had her reasons. The problem was that right from the start, her relationship with Pei Yuqing had been a misunderstanding. If she hadn't lost control of her consciousness and done uncontrollable things, she wouldn't have been in such a hurry to break up with Pei Yuqing. Damn. Lin Yen was startled when she realized what she was thinking. Had she broken up with Pei Yuqing because she had lost control of her consciousness? Lin Yen collected her thoughts and deliberated over her words before she said, this is a little complicated. I have my reasons, but it's fine. I will explain everything to Mr. Pei. When the time comes, it's up to him to decide whether to break up or not. Pei Nanxiu chuckled softly and said confidently, no matter what, my brother will never break up with you. Initially, he had been curious as to why Big Brother would care so much about a girl who had appeared out of nowhere. However, when he found out that Big Brother had changed because of this girl, he was certain of Lin Yan's importance to him. Lin Yan didn't know why Pei Nanxiu was so sure. Actually, she was puzzled. She hadn't known Pei Yuqing for long. She had even thought that Pei Yuqing was just fooling around with her. In the end, she realized that Pei Yuqing was more serious than she had imagined. She was the one who had been fooling around. She couldn't help but feel guilty at the thought of this. Oh yeah, how is Mr. Pei? Asked Lin Yan hastily. He is undergoing a thorough examination, so no one is allowed to disturb him. The examination will take a long time, so my brother asked me to arrange for a chauffeur to take you back to rest. Are you sure he is fine? The results aren't out yet, but based on the readings, he is stable. Don't worry. Lin Yan hesitated. Pardon me for asking, but what illness does Mr. Pei have? This. I can't explain it clearly. Pei Nanxiu tried his best to explain in a simple manner. You can think of it as a disease that can't be stimulated. If you are stimulated, your body will lose control and you will be in danger. Pei Nanxiu's words reminded Lin Yan of the kiss he had given her earlier. Was her influence on Pei Yuqing that great? Wouldn't it really become a Ganoderma elixir? Is that so? Instinctively, Lin Yan felt that things weren't that simple. If it had been as easy as Pei Nanxiu had made it sound, they wouldn't have looked as though the world was coming to an end when they had heard their watches ring. In any case, the matter was finally resolved. After she was certain that Pei Yuqing was fine, she instructed the chauffeur to take her to her grandfather's place. Chapter 236. When she reached the old mansion, Lin Yan went to a nearby mall to buy some things for her grandfather. She carried the bags into the mansion. Her grandfather, He Dingkuan, and her mother, He Muyun, were sitting in the living room. Sister Yan, you're here. Lin Yan's second cousin, He Lefeng, strode forward and took the bags from her. Why are you here? Eldest cousin, He Mingkai, glanced at Lin Yan and glanced at He Muyun. He sneered coldly. The competition is starting tomorrow morning. Some people don't know anything, yet they insisted on coming. Brother Mingkai, don't say that. He Lefeng frowned at He Mingkai as he spoke softly. Don't say that. He Mingkai glanced at He Lefeng and sneered coldly. Then what should I say? Don't you know who caused this mess? Brother Mingkai, you can't blame Aunt and Sister Yen for this. No one wanted this to happen. Besides, the team isn't good enough. Otherwise, we wouldn't have ended up like this, He Lifeng muttered softly. Suddenly, Big Uncle He Xiong said coldly, Xiao Feng, what does a kid like you know? Your brother Mingkai is right. Plus, if it wasn't for the funding problems and the team's lack of investment, with your brother Mingkai's ability, he would have been a second-tier racer in the country, or even a first-tier racer. Dad, don't talk to them. They don't know anything, especially this mother and son pair. They make me sick. He Mingkai looked disdainful. All right. He Dinkuan's eyebrows were furrowed, and he looked displeased. Seeing that the old man was angry, no one dared to say anything else. Grandfather, I have good news for you. The corners of He Lifeng's mouth curled up into a proud smile. What news? Asked He Xiong. The boss of Swift, Pei Yutong. He Mingkai grinned. I got to know the boss of Swift by chance. After a few rounds of communication, he finally agreed to watch our race tomorrow. As long as we perform well, we might be able to get Pei Yutong's investment. Pei Yutong. He Xiong paused. I don't think I've heard of him. He Lifeng replied, they're quite capable. Storm's racing equipment is considered top-notch, but their racers aren't good enough. Their ranking hasn't risen, but that's not important. If Storm's boss is willing to invest in us, it doesn't matter even if we lose the competition. I know the Storm motorcade. Old Master He Dinkuan glanced at He Mingkai and said, however, are you sure that the boss of Storm will be here tomorrow and that he intends to invest? Grandpa, don't worry. I have a good relationship with the boss of Storm. There won't be any problems. I can guarantee it. He Mingkai said confidently. Yeah, Mingkai. I didn't expect that you would be able to invite the boss of Storm over. You've worked hard this time. He Dinkuan nodded at He Mingkai. Mingkai, you did well. You've made us proud. He Xiong glanced at He Mingkai, looking gratified. Then, he glanced at Lin Yan and He Muyun and sneered coldly. Unlike some people who only know how to extort and harm their families. They don't contribute at all, yet they still act as though nothing has happened. Chapter 237. Lin Yan glanced at her eldest uncle and eldest cousin, He Mingkai. She didn't even have the desire to talk to them. Let's eat. Grandfather He Dinkuan spoke up. He Xiong glanced at He Lifeng and said, Xiaofeng, you mentioned that you've settled the navigator issue. Is there a problem tomorrow? There shouldn't be a problem. He Lifeng's eyes trailed to Lin Yan. Lin Yan shot him a reassuring look. Xiaofeng, what do you mean by there shouldn't be a problem? If there isn't a navigator, you can't compete. Even if you can compete, how are you going to compete? Isn't this a joke? He Xiong frowned. Yeah, I know. There shouldn't be a problem tomorrow. He Lifeng nodded. Who is your navigator? Did you hire him from outside? He Mingkai glanced at He Lifeng as he asked. All this while, He Lifeng hadn't been good with words and he hadn't performed well in competitions. Hence, almost no one had been willing to be his navigator. Not too long ago, He Lifeng's last navigator had left. I discussed this with Sister Yen. Sister Yen will be participating in the competition tomorrow. She will be my navigator. He Lifeng pondered for a moment before he spoke up. Everyone was taken aback by He Lifeng's words. Even He Muyun, who had been silent all this while, had a slight change in her expression. Lin Yan was going to be Xiaofeng's navigator? Xiaoyan, you want to be Xiaofeng's navigator? He Muyun glanced at Lin Yan in surprise. Lin Yan nodded and replied, Mom, I've already discussed this with Xiaofeng. Besides, I'm part of the family, so I want to contribute. Xiaoyan, are you confident? He Muyun asked hesitantly. Although a navigator wasn't a racer, they were more professional and required a strong memory and analytical ability. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to be a navigator. Mom, don't worry. I'll try my best. Lin Yan grinned. Before He Muyun could retort, He Xiong sprang to his feet and glared at Lin Yan. What kind of joke is this? You want to be a navigator? Are you out of your mind? Who do you think you are? Huh, I finally understand. What do they mean by being a part of the family? They want to do something for the family. I think they want to completely destroy the family and Grandpa's motorcade. He Mingkai sneered. Big uncle, brother Mingkai, since Sister Yen said she would be a navigator, she must be confident. Besides, without a navigator, I wouldn't be able to finish a race. He Lufeng glanced at He Xiong and He Mingkai with a sigh. Xiaofeng, are you out of your mind? He Xiong glanced at He Lufeng. I heard that after she dropped out of high school, she went to another city to work. What does she know about racing? Does she really think that she's sitting in the passenger seat? Do you know what this competition means? He Xiong didn't give He Lufeng a chance to retort. Brother Mingkai spent a lot of effort to invite Storm's boss, Pei Yutong. He has contributed so much to this family. What does she want? Does she want to destroy the team? She wants to make Storm's boss think that we don't know anything and that any random person would be a navigator? Chapter 238. Dad, I believe in Xiaoyan. Since Xiaoyan says it's possible, there shouldn't be any problems, He Muyun told He Dingkuan. Naturally, He Muyun knew her daughter very well. Even though Lin Yan wasn't a good navigator, she had a good memory. As long as she was given some time to familiarize herself with the course, she should be able to handle it. Dad, you know that Xiaoyan has a good memory since she was young. Plus, Xiaofeng's previous navigators were all junior navigators. If Xiaoyan can familiarize herself with them, even if she can't compare to them, she should still be able to make do, He Muyun continued when He Dingkuan didn't respond. What do you know? He Xiong glared at He Muyun. Anyone can be a navigator. What's the use of having a good memory? What about your ability to analyze the course? Do you think this is a game? What a joke. He Mingkai glanced at Lin Yan. Who gave her the courage? There are all kinds of birds in a big forest. Enough. Before Lin Yan could respond, He Dingkuan slammed his fist on the table. Immediately, no one spoke again. The race starts tomorrow morning. Even if we want to find a navigator for Xiaofeng, we won't be able to find one. Besides, Xiaofeng isn't the focus of this race. Let's get Xiaoyan to be Xiaofeng's navigator to make up the numbers. He Dingkuan fell silent for a moment before he spoke up. Soon, He Dingkuan's eyes landed on He Mingkai. Mingkai, you have a huge responsibility for tomorrow's race. Even if you lose, you have to finish in the top 3. That way, the boss of Storm might even invest in you. Top 3? When He Mingkai heard what his father and He Dingkuan had said, he was put in a difficult position. Although he wasn't bad, it would be difficult for him to finish in the top 3. There would be 3 teams in total, including them. There would be more than a dozen cars on the track. He Dingkuan sighed softly when he saw the change in He Mingkai's expression. Mingkai, just do your best. Let Xiaofeng and the rest of the team support you. There should be hope. Count on them. He Xiong's eyes trailed to Lin Yan as he sneered coldly. Grandfather, I will do my best to win this elimination round with Xiaofeng. Lin Yan grinned at He Dingkuan. He Lufeng was speechless. All right, but you and Xiaofeng have to do your best to support Mingkai. As long as Mingkai enters the top 3, even if he loses, he won't lose so badly, He Dingkuan said. Grandfather, I got it. Lin Yan nodded. Actually, Lin Yan wasn't interested in racing at all. If it hadn't been for her grandfather, she wouldn't have participated in the race. She wouldn't have become a navigator either. But now that things had come to this, the most important thing was to protect his grandfather's convoy. Haha. Grandfather, listen to this outsider's tone. I want to laugh when she and Xiaofeng won the competition together. She has to know her place. She doesn't even know what racing is. She treats racing like a taxi. He Mingkai glanced at Lin Yan. Chapter 239. Lin Yan didn't respond to He Mingkai. Indeed, she didn't even have the desire to converse with a racer like He Mingkai. There was a generation gap between them. She was afraid that there was a gulf between them. Forget it, Mingkai. Since your grandfather has already spoken, just focus on your own race tomorrow. Even if you lose, it's not your problem. Just treat her as if she doesn't exist. Don't let her affect your performance, He Xiong said to He Mingkai. Dad, I understand. Don't worry, I will do my best tomorrow. He Mingkai nodded and grinned. Even if I lose, as long as Storm's boss, Pei Yutong, sees my ability, I will consider investing in him. Suddenly, Lin Yan's phone rang. Lin Yan whipped out her phone and read the caller ID. Third Young Master Pei Xiong. Lin Yan stood up and walked out of the living room to answer the call. Hello, big sister-in-law. Pei Yutong's voice rang out. What's wrong? Did something happen to your big brother? Lin Yan frowned. My big brother? Pei Yutong was taken aback. Nothing. My big brother is doing fine. The specialist is examining him. He is fine, what's the matter? Lin Yan asked curiously. Big sister-in-law, why are you so cold to me? You will hurt my young heart. Pei Yutong sighed heavily. Lin Yan was speechless. Shouldn't she only call when there was a problem? If she didn't get straight to the point, her phone bill wouldn't last. Her plan didn't include free minutes. It was expensive. Big sister-in-law, are you still there? Say something. Pei Yutong blurted out anxiously. I'm here. What's the matter? Lin Yan sounded helpless. Big sister-in-law, is the He family team your grandfather's team? Pei Yutong asked. Yeah, replied Lin Yan. That's good. I was afraid that I had made a mistake earlier. Pei Yutong quipped, the He family team is considered the weakest team. They don't have money, manpower, or anything else. What are you trying to say? Lin Yan was dumbfounded. Had he called just to complain about her grandfather's team? Big sister-in-law, I heard that the He family team is going to compete in the elimination round tomorrow. I'm sure you will be there. After all, if the He family team loses, they will have to disband. Today, a member of the He family team, He Mingkai, asked me to watch the race. I promised big sister-in-law that you would appear tomorrow. If you don't participate, what's the point? I definitely won't go. Lin Yan was speechless. So that was what had happened. She had been a little puzzled as to why Pei Yutong had taken a liking to the He family's team and gotten together with He Mingkai. I will participate in the competition tomorrow, Lin Yan replied after a moment of silence. Big sister-in-law, I got it. I will definitely arrive early tomorrow to cheer for you. Pfft. The two teams competing with the He family aren't even as good as my team. Big sister-in-law, you can crush them with just one toe. You definitely don't need to cheer for them. It's like a king crushing a piece of scrap metal. No, I have to inform God Z and the rest. They all want to watch you race. Pei Yutong smiled. Chapter 240. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up, replied Lin Yan. Pei Yutong was speechless. Beep. Beep. Pei Yutong was speechless. After hanging up, she returned to her room. Not long after, about a quarter of an hour, He Xiong's phone suddenly rang. What? Really? After He Xiong picked up the phone, his expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with disbelief. All right, I understand. Tomorrow, we have to host them to the best of our abilities. He Xiong replied solemnly. Dad, who is it? He Mingkai asked after He Xiong hung up. Old master, Mingkai, let me tell you something unbelievable. He Xiong looked excited. Do you know who is coming to watch our competition tomorrow? He Dinkuan replied, just tell me. Dad, it's ZH1. He Xiong exclaimed excitedly. Did you say ZH1? He Dinkuan's body trembled when he heard He Xiong. ZH1, the top team in the country. He Dinkuan had been following ZH1 for many years. He liked their captain, God Z, Mumu, and the others. ZH1 was definitely one of the top teams in the country. As for a team like ZH1, they had to look up to them. Why would they watch their competition for no reason? Dad, are you serious? ZH1? He Mingkai was in disbelief. Some time ago, ZH1 had been invited by Storm's boss for a friendly match. He had met some of the ZH1 members at that time, but they hadn't been allowed to enter. Hold on. He Dinkuan calmed down and glanced at He Xiong. Which ZH1 is it? Old master, which other team could it be? It's the team that you've always been following. He Xiong grinned. Why would ZH1? Why would they come to watch our competition? We have nothing to do with each other. He Dinkuan was puzzled. Old master, do you even need to ask? Storm's boss, Pei Yutong, is one of ZH1's sponsors. Pei Yutong is here on account of my son, your grandson, He Mingkai. ZH1 must be here with Pei Yutong to see Mingkai. He Xiong replied hurriedly. An indescribable excitement appeared in He Mingkai's eyes when he heard He Xiong's words. He slammed the table and said, I met God Z some time ago. I didn't expect that God Z would personally come to watch my match tomorrow. Lin Yan was speechless. This father and son. Why are they so dramatic? Is ZH1 really here to see them? However, Pei Yutong's speed and efficiency were too fast. He had called to inform God Z. How long had it been, and ZH1 had actually come to watch the competition? After the competition with speed, God Z had called her several times, but she had been busy and hadn't picked up. Besides, Lin Yan knew what God Z was thinking. He wanted her to join the ZH1 team. However, Lin Yan wasn't interested in the ZH1 team at all. ZH1. Brother Mingkai. You're amazing. He Lufeng stared at He Mingkai in awe. As a racer, He Lufeng knew very well what ZH1 represented. It was a top-notch team in the country, and it was extremely difficult to even meet them, let alone watch a competition. He Lufeng hadn't expected that He Mingkai would be so capable. Not only had he invited the boss of Storm, but he had also invited ZH1. Chapter 241. It was getting late, so Lin Yan and her mother stayed the night at the old mansion. Too many things had happened in the past few days, so Lin Yan's mind was in a whirl. She couldn't fall asleep no matter how hard she tried, so she put on a coat and left the house. There was a stretch of sea not far from the old mansion, and the beach was empty. There was no one around. Lin Yan felt calmer as she enjoyed the sea breeze. Too many things had happened ever since she had been banned from competing. Everything that she knew had changed beyond recognition. She didn't know if she would ever be able to return to the competition. Right now, she was most anxious about her brother. She had to find the laboratory as soon as possible and find her brother. She had to find the mastermind and kill him. As for Lin Shia, actually, she had treated Lin Shia so well because she had already lost her younger brother. Hence, she had given all her care and concern to her only sister. She had encountered so many difficulties over the years, including the kidnapping incident, but none of them had defeated her. However, she had almost fallen into the abyss because of Lin Shia. Fortunately, she could start anew after severing all ties. At this thought, Pei Yuqing's gentle smile surfaced in Lin Yan's mind. She had almost forgotten that she had a thorny problem to solve. She had to think carefully about how to explain it to Pei Yucheng when the time came. Lin Yan lay on the soft beach as her thoughts drifted away. She started to feel sleepy. Plop. Gulp. Gulp. Suddenly, a strange sound entered his ears. Especially in the middle of the night when there was no one around, it simply caused his scalp to go numb. In an instant, Lin Yan's sleepiness disappeared as she surveyed her surroundings vigilantly. However, the surroundings were still empty. Not to mention people, not even a ghost could be seen. Gulp. 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 However, the strange sound didn't fade away. Instead, it became more frequent. F***ck. Lin Yan had goosebumps all over her body. What the hell was going on? It was too creepy. Under the moonlight, Lin Yan caught a glimpse of a few keys by the sea. Lin Yan didn't think too much about it. She hurriedly ran forward and stared at the keys. Had someone drowned? At this moment, the surface of the sea was still bubbling non-stop. Lin Yan's expression changed instantly. She didn't have time to think. She hurriedly approached the shore and reached into the sea. A few seconds later, Lin Yan's arm rose forcefully. Lin Yan grabbed a handsome young man by his hair and pulled him out of the sea. The young man stared intently at Lin Yan as she lifted him into the air. "Are you all right?" asked Lin Yan with a frown. "Get lost," the man said. Lin Yan was speechless. "I'm sorry. I thought you were drowning." Lin Yan let go of him awkwardly. The man's body sank into the sea again. The man kept slapping the surface of the water with his hands. I accidentally rolled down just now." Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan was shocked when she heard the man's words. She grabbed the man's hair and dragged him to the shore. "Are you all right?" Lin Yan asked as the man panted heavily. Yes. Let me call the ambulance." Lin Yan whipped out her phone. "Of course not," the man said. Lin Yan was speechless. Lin Yan stared at the drenched man with an odd expression on her face. She hadn't seen anyone since she had arrived at the beach. When had this man rolled into the sea? Chapter 242. Lin Yan crossed her arms and propped her chin on her hands. She stared at the man, who was drenched in sweat. "Why are you looking at me?" the man asked Lin Yan as he shook off the seawater. "When did you roll into the sea?" asked Lin Yan. "About an hour ago." The man pondered for a moment before replying honestly. "An hour?" Lin Yan was dumbfounded when she heard the man. No wonder she hadn't seen him on the beach. He had rolled into the sea for an hour. Why hadn't he drowned? "I'm glad you're fine." Lin Yan scanned the man from head to toe before she returned to her seat. The man followed her and studied her for a long time with a strange expression on his face. "What's wrong?" Lin Yan frowned. You look a little like me." The man stared at Lin Yan and stammered. "You've got the wrong person." "I'm not." Could he be her haters? Lin Yan shook her head resolutely. It was late at night, and she hadn't put on any makeup. How could he recognize her? "He looks like the perverts I used to know," the man replied. Lin Yan was speechless. Pervert? Before Lin Yan could retort, the man's eyes gleamed coldly as he gazed at the beach. "Help me," the man hurriedly said to Lin Yan. "Get lost." Lin Yan glanced at the man expressionlessly. He had said that she looked like a pervert, and now he was asking for help. She shouldn't have saved him. "Don't tell me that you've seen me." The man rolled back into the sea as Lin Yan stared at him in bewilderment. Lin Yan was bewildered. Before Lin Yan could ponder further, a group of young men and women dressed in black scuttled over. The man in the lead was scanning the surroundings. "He's nearby," said the man in black. "Didn't we look for him just now?" another woman replied expressionlessly. Lin Yan glanced at the young men and women without batting an eyelid. Had the stutterer deliberately rolled into the sea to avoid them? Not only that, the leader of the black-clothed men was holding something that looked like a tracking device. You. Suddenly, one of the women walked over to Lin Yan and said coldly, "Did you see a stutterer nearby?" The woman whipped out a photo and waved it in front of Lin Yan. The man in this photo was the stutterer who had just rolled into the sea. "I haven't seen anyone before. I've been here for a while, but no one else has appeared." Lin Yan pondered this for a moment before she shook her head. Although Lin Yan wasn't sure what kind of feud these young men and women had with the stutterer, she knew that it had nothing to do with her. Never seen him before. The young lady studied Lin Yan coldly, trying to find clues in her eyes. However, Lin Yan's eyes were as calm as a deep well. The young lady turned around and stopped talking to Lin Yan. "Leader, I don't think so," the young lady said to the leader. "Heh, interesting." Chapter 243. The tracker in the leader's hand kept emitting ear-piercing sounds. The man strode over to Lin Yan and moved the tracker closer to her. A second later, a red light appeared on the tracker. Almost instantly, the people behind the young man rushed forward and surrounded Lin Yan. "Not bad. You have a Class A," the man stared at Lin Yan with a smile on his face. "Even if it's a recycling price, it's not a low price." "What do you mean?" Lin Yan frowned at them. "How did they know that she had a Class A body?" "I mean that you're very valuable." The man licked his slightly dry lips and winked at the young woman beside him. Without any warning, the young woman swung her palm at Lin Yan's neck. Swoosh. A whistling sound could be heard. This young woman's strength was shockingly great. Her palm was so powerful that it could even shatter a boulder. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yan stumbled backward. A dull thud was heard as the young woman's palm struck empty air. Even the air seemed to freeze. Lin Yan's pupils constricted. These people weren't ordinary people. It seems like there's nothing wrong with the tracker. It's indeed effective. Class A, the leader's smile widened when he saw Lin Yan dodge his attack. "Who are you?" Lin Yan asked coldly. "Shoo." The leader placed his index finger by his lips and chuckled softly. "Don't be anxious. You'll find out soon enough." The young woman attacked Lin Yan again. She didn't hold back at all. Lin Yan was furious. She had been enjoying the breeze by the sea and had been in a good mood. However, this group of people had ruined her mood. Bang! Lin Yan grabbed the young woman's fist. The woman's fist was covered with a layer of brass knuckles, which was extremely lethal. "Who are you?" Lin Yan stared at the young woman expressionlessly as she gripped her arm tightly. The force of Lin Yan's palm made the young woman frown as cold sweat trickled down her forehead. Scram! Lin Yan snorted coldly and took half a step forward. She lifted her right knee and struck the young woman's abdomen. Immediately, the young woman let out a cry of surprise. Her entire body was like a kite with a broken string. She flew more than 10 meters away and fell heavily on the sand and stones. A grade physique. Not bad indeed. No wonder the price is so high. The leader glanced at the young woman who had been sent flying by Lin Yan's knee before he turned back to Lin Yan. Lin Yan was about to say something when the rest of the young men made their moves. They attacked Lin Yan at the same time. Lin Yan's reflexes were swift. She grabbed the two young men and threw them into the sea with brute force. A second later, Lin Yan instinctively raised her palm to block it. However, a powerful force spread from Lin Yan's palm to her entire body. Her palm went numb and almost split open. Just as Lin Yan was retreating, the leader of the group lunged forward and grabbed her neck. Chapter 244. Lin Yan's eyes gleamed coldly when she heard the man. Did you come from the laboratory too? Laboratory? The leader sneered coldly when he heard Lin Yen. In the end, it's just a product from a laboratory. TSK, how cheap. Cut the crap. Where is my brother? Lin Yen lost control at the thought that these people might be related to her brother's disappearance. Your brother? The leader glanced at Lin Yen. What are you talking about? How would I know who your brother is? Aren't you going to tell me the truth? Green veins popped on Lin Yan's forehead as her pupils dilated. Bang! Lin Yan punched the man's abdomen. Thud. The man's face was a little twisted. He staggered a little and quickly took a few steps back. Captain, she doesn't seem to be of the same level, a young man frowned as he spoke. The leader snorted coldly. The higher the level, the higher the price. Use that. The young men whipped out palm-sized airbags and hurled them at Lin Yen. Lin Yen, who was in a semi-controlled state, smashed the airbags with her bare hands. However, when the airbags broke, they formed a net that caught Lin Yen off guard. A second later, Lin Yen felt as though she had been struck by lightning. The excruciating pain made Lin Yan's willpower dissipate. Pfft! You wasted one of my airbags. The leader glanced at Lin Yen as his lips curled into a pitiful smile. Lin Yen was trapped in the net, and the indescribable pain made her unable to move. Her body was stiff, and she couldn't even move a finger. This was the first time in her life that Lin Yen had experienced such unbearable pain. Amidst the pain, Lin Yan's mind was filled with images that didn't belong to her. She saw her brother, Lin Yuetong, her mother, and her grandfather. However, when her relatives looked at her, their faces were filled with fear. It was as though they were begging her to let them go. In the unfamiliar laboratory, she had a cold expression on her face and a haze in her eyes. It seemed as though everyone was afraid of her. These scattered images made Lin Yen feel fearful and unfamiliar. However, right at this moment, the scene changed. It was a scene of them hugging each other to sleep. What followed was an endless quarrel. She could even faintly hear a voice calling out to her. Mom! The excruciating pain jolted Lin Yen back to her senses. The scene that had appeared in her mind earlier seemed like an illusion. Lin Yen tried her best to fling the net away. However, she couldn't budge. At the same time, in Cloud Manor, Pei Yutong stared at Pei Yucheng, who had suddenly fallen to the ground. He spat out the juice in his mouth and hurriedly reached out to support the unconscious Pei Yucheng. Big brother. What happened to you, big brother? F***ck me. Someone come quickly. Big brother fainted. On the beach. Ah, you're actually still struggling. You haven't fainted yet? That's scary enough. I'll definitely sell you for a good price. The man in the lead smiled playfully. As the leader's voice fell, the tracker in his hands suddenly emitted a sharp alarm. Chapter 245. Huh. Seeing this, the leader was taken aback. The tracker in his hand did have an alarm function. However, he had hunted too many people with mutant physiques, and this had never happened before. Even when he encountered a high-level mutant, the alarm hadn't been so sharp and frequent. Captain, what's going on? The other young men looked at the tracker on the leader's head, and they were also puzzled. I don't know. Is there a malfunction? The leader looked puzzled. Captain, look. Suddenly, one of the young men pointed at the alarm, looking shocked. Instinctively, the leader looked at the alarm. Originally, the red light on the screen of the alarm changed in an instant. Orange? The leader's expression changed when he saw the tracker turn from red to orange. There were many colors on the tracker, which corresponded to different levels of mutant physiques. Red meant a mutant physique, orange meant a mutant physique, yellow meant a level, green meant a level, and black meant a level. Captain, it turned green. Suddenly, one of them shouted with a horrified expression. There was a mutant with a mutant physique nearby? However, when the leader looked at the monitor, the green turned black instantly. Seeing this, the leader's body trembled and he looked around vigilantly. However, there was no one else on the beach besides them. Woo 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 woo. The alarm on the tracker became louder and louder, as though it was protesting against the arrival of the apocalypse. There must be a malfunction. The leader frowned. How could there be a blue-level mutant? Captain, look at that woman. The leader turned to Lin Yen. How is that possible? Lin Yen had already stood up again. The electric net was emitting a strong electric glow, but it hadn't failed. A second later, Lin Yen tore apart the electric net effortlessly and tossed it aside. There's a problem with the tracker and the weapon, the leader muttered. Captain, let me handle it. She shouldn't be able to fight now. One of the men with a scar strode over to Lin Yen. The scar-faced man strode over to Lin Yen and said coldly, "Are you going to surrender or do I have to do it?" Lin Yen stood rooted to the ground as she searched for something in her pocket. "It seems that you are indeed very stubborn." The scar-faced man sneered. Lin Yen rummaged in her pocket for a moment before her cold eyes met the scarred man's. "Is there a fire?" Lin Yen replied softly. "Courting death." The scar-faced man was infuriated by the girl's nonchalant attitude. He raised his hand and punched Lin Yen. Bang! There was a muffled sound. Everyone watched in disbelief as the scar-faced man fainted. However, no one had seen Lin Yen make a move. Lin Yen had one hand on the unconscious man's left shoulder while the other was rummaging through his pocket. Lin Yen retrieved a cigarette and a lighter from the man's pocket. A second later, Lin Yen tossed the scar-faced man into the sea. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.